unreasonable risk of fire. Consumer Reports says the best car brands are not from Detroit. In its annual listing of the top brands, Consumer Reports says Audi, Subaru, and Lexus are the top 3 overall for reliability and good driving qualities. And that's it for America in the Morning for Wednesday, February 24th, 2016. Our producer is Tom Dulac. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout, and this is Westwood One News.
Are you a do-it-yourselfer or a direct-it-yourselfer?
Every weekend, people tell us about overspending on projects they could have handled themselves for lots less money.
And we hear from people who ended up overspending because they tried to do something they should have called in a pro to tackle.
Well, we'll help you sort it out. I'm Tom Kreitler.
And I'm Leslie Segretti. Got a remodeling or a repair project?
We can help you decide whether to do it yourself or direct it yourself this weekend on the Money Pit Home Improvement Radio Show.
Saturdays at 10, Sundays at 7 on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
The craziness is returning to the kennel.
Wiltshire behind his back with a dribble, and he scores! Got Tarnowski to his left, pulls up, shoots, scores, and a foul!
Zags basketball from IMG.
Corners, Nelson driving baseline and a two-handed throw-down dunk. Oh my goodness, Silas Nelson!
From tip-off to the final buzzer.
And throws it down with 2 hands.
Follow the action all season long on your home for Bulldogs basketball, the Gonzaga IMG Sports Network.
Mornings start with Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio. Join Jeff and Carol weekdays from 6 to 9 on AM 1030 and FM 1033, KMAS Shelton.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Karen Chase. Donald Trump is basking in the glow of another big win, this one in the Nevada caucuses.
It was a great night. It was a great day, and we're looking pretty good, I think, by any standard.
Trump scored a double-digit victory over his Republican rivals and hopes to ride his winning momentum to a big blowout on Super Tuesday. Marco Rubio says he's pleased with his second-place finish, and there are a lot more contests ahead.
By the time you get to March 15th, now you're in some big states like Ohio and Florida that award all their delegates at once. That's where you have to start winning states, and we feel very confident about where we're going to be come March 15th.
Red Cross teams have fanned out along the Gulf Coast to help victims of a string of tornadoes. 3 people were killed and 30 injured in Louisiana and Mississippi. The Florida Panhandle also took a direct hit. An apartment complex was leveled, and this man in Pensacola didn't know what hit him.
The power goes out, and then, we get blown back like 10 feet, and next thing we know, we're trapped underneath some debris and some drywall. I'm not actually sure where we were.
Rescue crews are still searching for potential victims. Another powerful storm system is bringing nearly 2 feet of snow to parts of the Midwest. Blizzard warnings are up in Missouri, Illinois, Michigan, and Indiana. 2 Texas hospitals say they've developed a rapid blood test for Zika, a major step forward in the battle against the virus. Meanwhile, 14 people who may have contracted it through sexual contact are being tested. ABC's Megan Hughes tells us Zika is the focus of a congressional hearing today.
Members of Congress will hear from national health officials, but also the Surgeon General of Florida. At least 29 people have been infected by the Zika virus there, more than any other state. All seem to be travel related. No Zika transmissions from mosquitoes in the U.S. have been reported, though several states, including Florida, are home to the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which appears to be the carrier of the Zika virus.
Officials at Fairfield University in Connecticut are planning a campus community forum to discuss racial issues after students held a ghetto-themed party where students wore chains and whiteface. This is ABC News.
ABC Radio presents Made in America with David Muir, brought to you by Advance Auto Parts.
It's the blue and yellow can, a household staple made right here in America. WD-40. Everybody has a can in their house. Orlando Moreno at WD-40 headquarters in San Diego. The secret formula, nearly the same since it was invented more than 60 years ago.
It's a special thing.
CEO Gary Ridge, business doubling in the last 10 years, now sold around the country and around the world in 176 countries. This is World News Tonight's David Muir. That's Made in America.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Friday's first Endless Apps of 2016 begins now.
Kitchen, we are go.
That's right. America's favorite guilty pleasure is back. And $10 still gets you endless rounds of your favorite app. Like mozzarella sticks, loaded potato skins, or 8 styles of wings. We're talking endless rounds of the best appetizers on Earth.
More endless apps for mankind.
Endless Apps are back at Fridays.
Suck at that.
Selma civil rights marchers from 1965 are being honored with the Congressional Gold Medal today. ABC's Andy Field has their stories.
After the marches, arrests, and sometimes deadly fight just to vote, President Lyndon Johnson finally signed the 1965 Voting Rights Act.
It's all of us who must overcome the crippling legacy of bigotry and injustice.
Many minorities still fighting 50 years later, as some states try to make it more difficult to vote. Those voting rights foot soldiers now receiving the Congressional Gold Medal.
And we shall overcome.
Andy Field, ABC News, Washington.
Starting today, you can do more than like something on Facebook. Like is getting some friends of its own. Friends can now express 5 other emotions with new emojis, including haha, angry, and sad. So as not to make the site confusing, Facebook says all you have to do is hold down the like key for a long time to make the other options appear. Karen Chase, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com, 427-4489.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. There's been some controversy surrounding a recent ordinance adopted by the Mason County Commissioners. According to a state law passed last year, when 2 or more legislative bodies in 2 or more counties have a common concern, one of the counties can go to the other county and hold a meeting with only 24-hour notice. Mason County's ordinance now reflects that law. Concerned citizen Tom Davis wants a 30-day notice, and he told Daybreak why.
My feeling is that it defies reason why the county would want the flexibility to have a meeting outside the county that concerns an issue of the people inside the county and only give those people 24-hour notice. Commissioner Sheldon said, well, you should just make sure that you elect good commissioners. Well, we could do away with the whole checks and balances system if that was the case, and so I don't really give that too much weight. And Commissioner Jeffries said, I want the flexibility. Well, if you want the flexibility, that probably means you're going to exercise the flexibility.
Commissioner Tim Sheldon says that kind of abuse is unlikely.
I don't see a group of nefarious county commissioners getting together to do some secretive meeting outside of the county that's not noticed to the public. If somebody can bring me an example of that, then I think we got to start talking about it seriously. But it's just something you wouldn't do. But if he can find an example of this happening, boy, I'd sure like to hear about it.
35th District Representative Dan Griffey also addressed Davis's concerns.
The legislature was asked to consider the ability the county commissioner could meet in off-site locations for very narrow reasons. And the reason was if they were going to interview legislative appointees. So if they have a vacancy in the legislature, the 35th District covers 3 counties. Those 3 county commissioners could get together, do an interview of all the candidates all at one time. They could then make an appointment. But I do understand his concerns, and I think we have to monitor the situation, and we might have to put some sideboards on the topics that can be discussed in that 24-hour window. Sure. But I do believe that the counties in an emergency situation like these appointments to do these interviews, they might need that flexibility.
Find all of these discussions on the Daybreak page on iFIBER1newsradio.com. The city of Gig Harbor has a controversy of its own. Citing trends, the city's planning commission sees cottage housing as an attractive opportunity and wants the city to consider a zoning amendment. But the group Citizens for the Preservation of Gig Harbor believes more cottage housing would negatively impact the community. The mayor has encouraged residents to learn more about the concept before casting judgments. For iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Marilyn Foster.
The craziness is returning to the kennel.
Wiltshire behind his back with a dribble, and he scores. Got Tarnowski to his left, pulls up, shoots, scores, and a foul.
Zags basketball from IMG.
Corners, Nelson driving, baseline, and a two-handed throw down dunk. Oh my goodness, Silas Nelson.
From tip-off to the final buzzer.
And throws it down with 2 hands.
Follow the action all season long on your home for Bulldogs basketball, the Gonzaga IMG Sports Network.
Is your family doing some growing? Whether it's an expansion of your home or the addition of a new family car, Peninsula Credit Union can provide fast, friendly service with terrific rates. We offer personal lines of credit, affordable auto loans, and a variety of home loan options to get you moving. Visit our offices in Shelton, Belfair, Paulsbo, Port Orchard, and Port Townsend, or go online to pcfcu.org. At Peninsula Credit Union, our priority is you.
Good morning to you. It's a Wednesday here at iFIBER ONE Newsradio. I'm Jeff Slakey, AM 1030 and FM 1033. We'll be checking sports and weather here in a mere moment. Good morning to you now. We are looking at stories from around the Northwest when it comes to sports, and we'll start on the hardwood. Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum each scored 34 points, and the Trail Blazers beat the Brooklyn Nets 112-104 last night, their 6th consecutive victory. Clint Dempsey scored in both halves, including a curling free kick just before halftime, but the Seattle Sounders settled for a 2-2 draw with Club America in the first leg of the CONCACAF Champions League quarterfinals last night. Dempsey scored in the 44th and 52nd minutes, the second goal coming off a corner kick from Andres Ivanitz. But Seattle's backline cracked under pressure from Club America. Now head to Aztec Stadium next week, with the Sounders likely needing a victory to advance. We've got Gonzaga basketball on the radio for you this upcoming Saturday. They have a couple games left in the regular season, a game tomorrow, but we've got a debate on the air for you. Then Saturday will be the final game of the regular season, taking on BYU, the pregame at 4:40. After that, the WCC tournament will get underway. And if Gonzaga wins that fully, they'll be entered into the NCAA March Madness bracket tournament deal. And if not, I've been hearing rumbles that for the first time, maybe in almost 20 years, they may not make it after some losses that they really shouldn't have had. But we'll find out what happens. They're still going to get through this weekend first against BYU. Tip-off at 5 again. 6:11 now. Here's Carol with the forecast.
Good morning. It's 33. It's cloudy. It's going to be cloudy the rest of the day with some sun. For the afternoon, we're going to reach a high of 59. Tomorrow, we're going to have sunshine with some clouds. Looks still pretty good. The overnight lows are still going to be in the upper 30s. And then Friday, unfortunately, there might be some rain. But get out there today and tomorrow.
I will.
But right now, it's only 33.
Not right now, though.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South South's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
Well, it's just the golf stuff. 6:12, old age, hardly even that. Good morning to you. It is Daybreak at iFIBER ONE Newsradio. I'm Jeff Slakey and Carol Gardner. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Jeff.
6:12 here. Got great guests for you on the big show today, including 35th District Representative Drew McEwen. We'll have transit talk. Christina Kramer from MTA likely to come in, and port of call as well. A GOP debate tomorrow night. Coverage starts at 3 after a big night in Las Vegas. And
the Trumpinator.
Trump rolls. Now, I looked at a map of Nevada, and it had it broken out, I believe, in district or however the caucusing it worked. And it was just all but 2 areas went to Trump. One went to Cruz and one went to Rubio. Kasich was down at like 3.6%.
Are you surprised, though?
No, I'm not surprised. It's amazing what is going on and just the role that he is on. That's 3 first places in a row. Mm-hmm. Super Tuesday is coming up quick. Carson and Kasich are non-factors. They have been, essentially the whole time.
When will announce their announcements?
Kasich says There's a quote saying,
He's hanging in there?
maybe I'm not destined to be president.
Maybe.
Leaving the door open.
Not.
Have some other Northwest headlines for you coming up right after this quick break on Daybreak at 6:14.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
I'm Ari Wolf with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. Bills running back LaShawn McCoy met with the Philadelphia District Attorney Tuesday. McCoy did not speak to reporters after leaving the meeting, which stemmed from an investigation into an alleged incident that injured 2 off-duty police officers earlier this month. Redskins team president Bruce Allen spoke about Robert Griffin's future Tuesday on the mighty 1090 in San Diego. And it doesn't sound like that future includes Washington.
We've heard from some teams that are interested, and I think he's going to have a choice of a couple teams that will let him excel in the future.
Combine week starts today with the Scouting Combine press conferences. It all starts today and continues tomorrow live at noon Eastern. Then Friday, the top draft prospects take center stage. Coverage of the 2016 NFL Scouting Combine presented by Hyundai starts Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
QL1, this is Control. Does Rocket Mortgage require me to come in and speak with someone?
Negative, Control. With Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, you can go through the entire mortgage process on your own and completely online.
Copy that, QL1. But if I wanted to speak to someone, do you think they're out there?
They're out there, all right. Their award-winning client service is beyond anything I've ever experienced.
3, 2, 1.
Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage.
Rocket.
Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS Consumer Access.org number 3030.
And now, a touching moment. Well, staying in touch with Geico.
It was a warm summer day. I was just sitting on a porch watching a babbling brook roll by. Then, out of the blue, I got an update from my Geico app saying my claim had been processed. I felt so connected to nature, to Geico. I stayed there the whole afternoon until that guy told me to stop trespassing on his porch. Sheesh, what was his problem?
Claim status updates just a few taps away on the Geico app.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio, KMAS.
Good morning to you. It's a Wednesday here at iFIBER One, AM 1030 and FM 103.3. We are streaming online this morning at our website, iFIBER1Newsradio.com. You can follow us on Twitter as well, and additionally, Facebook at facebook.com/1030KMAS. I had a hard time this morning figuring, you said that we had a full moon yesterday, but it sure looked like it today.
Well, it doesn't just like... Usually you can't tell that
some
it's
days
not
I
quite.
can, that it seems a little less circular. But, man, it sure was shining bright.
It was bright. I'm like, did my neighbor leave my light on? Oh, no, that's their light on.
Your neighbor leave your light on?
Their light on. And then I'm like, oh, no, that's the full moon. I forgot. We're having a full moon.
Yeah, for sure. All right, you got some numbers on the delegates.
I do, and I have to say, technology, some people fear it, some people freak out about it, but I love it. You just type in Nevada results.
And it knows exactly what you mean.
It knows exactly what I mean, yeah.
I typed in something super random the other day, and it got me exactly where I needed to go. What you typed in something about, I saw your question was, why won't they just open the phone?
Yeah.
And it takes you to every news article you ever need.
Yeah.
The other thing is that it would have been weeks to get all this information.
Yep.
You got to go over the Sierra Nevadas, you got to go over the mountains, get it to us. Trump wins.
He does at 5%. Rubio and Cruz each take a little over 20%. So they sort of split the remains. And then Carson at almost 5 and Kasich just over 3.5. So Bush even got a little bit.
People didn't realize he was out.
Yeah, so vote. Bush, Christie, and Paul
Rando
got some little votes there. But
Super Tuesday is less than a week away. 11 states all at the same time. We're gonna know a lot more about what's going on in for November.
Yep.
After a week from today, this time next Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Port of Longview commissioners, Carol, have ended talks with the Texas developer of an $800 million oil refinery and a propane terminal in Southwest Washington. The Daily News of Longview says commissioners voted yesterday to end talks with Waterside Energy. The company proposed 2 projects on land adjacent to the port, but needed to use port property for its activities.
After that huge explosion yesterday up in Kitsap County, authorities have identified the 2 people who did die in it, and that leveled the home. Kitsap County Sheriff's deputies say the explosion in Port Orchard killed William B. McDonald and his wife Maria McDonald. They ruled out homicide as a cause of the explosion, but they really don't know how it happened.
State Senate panel allocated an additional $75,000 to an investigator hired to help that chamber with its inquiry into erroneous early release of prisoners in the state. Software coding error led to the early release of up to 3,200 prisoners since 2002 because of miscalculated sentences. At least 2 deaths now been tied to those early releases.
And the Washington Department of Transportation is going to rename State Route 16 in memory of State Trooper Tony Radulescu. He was killed 4 years ago yesterday on that road, and he was a 44-year-old U.S. Army veteran and had served with the State Patrol for 16 years.
And state officials say small dogs and cats soon be able to travel with their families on Amtrak Cascade trains. Reservations, just $25 per pet, must be made in advance and will be accepted for travel beginning on March 7. Officials say traveling pets must be odorless, harmless, not disruptive, and require no attention during travel. And there's other stipulations.
Odorless.
What's the fun? Odorless?
Well, do you have to have them in a...
Doesn't sound like if those are the stipulations. Sounds like they're going to be lap dogs.
Well, I suppose that you probably should check with Amtrak before you go to the station and buy your ticket, because there are some people that are super allergic.
Yeah, what are they going to do? What are they going to? They're going to have to separate. Well, make sure you don't ever sit in this train car because we've had a dog here before.
Yeah, and just the dander, you can't clean that stuff up.
It's awful. It gets everywhere. Bertha is in the news.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
Habitat for Humanity of Mason County invites you to shop their local retail stores in Belfair and in Shelton. At Habitat for Humanity stores, you'll find amazing bargains on discounted home improvement supplies, gently used furniture, and so much more. And when you shop Habitat for Humanity, your dollars are put to work helping to improve, build, and maintain affordable housing right here in Mason County. Habitat for Humanity. Let's build a strong community together.
Hi, everyone. This is Mark Tobert, your advertising consultant from iFIBER ONE Newsradio. Are you missing customers because you only market to a specific group? iFIBER ONE Newsradio can help you hit a larger group of buyers with our diverse audience. We are 24 hours of local and national breaking news, award-winning talk radio, and primetime sports, including local high school sports. What does this mean to you? This means our listeners listen longer to entire programs and don't switch to another station when a commercial comes on. Our coverage in the Puget Sound area hits over 500,000 listeners, including Mason County, Thurston County, Grace Harbor County, King, Pierce, Joint Base Lewis McCourt, and Kitsap County to the Bremerton Naval Base. All advertising is 100% tax deductible. So how can you afford not to advertise? Call me, Mark Tobert, at iFIBER ONE Newsradio to become a total audience plan advertiser. Just call 360-426-1030.
Listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
.623 at iFIBER ONE Newsradio, and a good morning to you. It's a Wednesday. Marilyn Foster has the latest in local news. Boring.
Did you just tweet out from Trump's account?
Boo! You are boring. The machine digging a tunnel to replace Seattle's Alaska Way viaduct has resumed work. State transportation officials said a boring machine known as Bertha resumed mining Tuesday after the state allowed the work to continue. Last month, the governor halted the digging because of a large sinkhole we remember formed in the area where the machine was operating. State officials say the tunnel contractor will be allowed to install 25 concrete tunnel rings and must ensure the work can continue safely. Tunnel along the Seattle waterfront was the choice to replace the Alaska Way Viaduct after it was damaged in an earthquake some 15 years ago. Bertha broke down 2 years ago and has only recently resumed operations. The original completion date, tunnel fall of last year, now looking at April of 2018, so 2 years and 2 months from now. I was talking with my father-in-law in our holiday down in San Diego about this and what a mess, but think about the big dig, which took forever. We get that big dig in Boston took forever, but now you go there and it is beautiful. You know, we got these pains right now, and it is a mess, and it's a pain. It's fun to joke about this thing that doesn't work sometimes, but when it's all said and done, it's going to totally transform. And then people won't even, oh yeah, no, I remember something about some struggles. All you're thinking about is the beautiful waterfront, all the additional parking and people coming in. I think the ability to increase cruise ship residency there, it's tough. But then we were also watching Ocean's 13, and that's the one with Al Pacino, and they dig underneath Las Vegas with the tunnel boring machine. I says, well, we got to do some research.
What about like 2012 or something, the movie, where they have a big tunnel underneath, and then you have the big shakeup?
Sure. Well, that's what those concrete tunnel rings are for.
Yeah, let's hope they hold.
625, iFIBER ONE News Radio. Marilyn Foster has the latest in local news.
And just sort of a fun story. Twin Utah moms give birth to twins, identical twins. Each one of them gives birth to identical twins again.
Okay, wait a second. We've got sisters.
Yes.
And they're twin sisters.
Yes.
And they just so happen to get pregnant at the same time.
Similar times, yeah.
And now we come to find out that both of the twins are carrying twins.
Yeah, for the second time. They already had twins.
Oh my gosh.
About 5 years ago.
You know, if we were, we've talked, we haven't talked about a second. But if you have twins, I thought that was it. You have your twins, and then you say, whoa, great, I got both kids out of the way. I don't have to go for any more.
No, well, they obviously want to go for some more. So now there'll be 9. Well, there's 9 children now. Eight sets with the twins, and then there was another child.
Wow.
Yeah, can you imagine? Identical twins. 2 sets of identical twins in each family.
Yeah.
And the moms are identical.
Well, I think that works like that. You know, if you have the trends in your genetics to that stuff.
No twins in your family?
Not that I know of. No. Speaking of births, just before the 6:30 mark for us, an Amtrak train bound for New York wound up with one more passenger on board when it departed, and ABC's Mark Remillard has this one for you.
The northbound train had to make an emergency stop in Aberdeen, Maryland Saturday after passenger Shira Stokes went into labor.
The contraction started getting so bad.
As the train stopped, Lowe says first responders arrived to help deliver 8-pound, 5-ounce Trinity Christina Stokes.
She looked and she said, baby's crowning. And like, I started pushing. I couldn't hold it back any longer.
Following the delivery, Lowe and Stokes were taken to a nearby hospital and even had a visit later from one of the officers who helped deliver Stokes. Mark Remillard, ABC News.
It's amazing to me the calmness that people can, in these extreme situations. Somebody, rises up and says, okay, here's what we need to do, and we need to get this done. I would be probably freaking out.
Well, yeah, you were probably freaking out when you had to take Stephanie to the hospital, weren't you?
Yeah.
She was probably way more calm than you.
It was, I don't even remember how it happened. I think it was early in the morning, 2 or 3 in the morning. It's just time to go. What? Gotta get there. 629, iFIBER ONE News Radio, and a good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner. Got a great day for you. Not only was it caucus night for the Republicans in Nevada. Celine Dion made an emotional return to the stage where she holds court in Las Vegas. We'll have some clips from her performance last night provided by CelineDion.com. Also, we've got a news story about those Takata airbags. Do you remember those big stories? All the airbags, you go and yet the recall.
Right.
People feel like they have found the root cause for these. So we'll have that story for us before 7. And also sticking with driving, emotional driving, and how distracted driving is a killer. Now you throw distracted driving in, and you become an emotional for some situation, and it is even worse. There are new studies out on the driving with that one. And Carol had a fun story about some twins who were doing things. I've got a story about a goat in the front seat of a car.
Twins to goats. I don't know how you made that.
I'm just trying to help with my part of the conversation here this morning.
All right.
Mary Lynn Foster's got the news.
Thank goodness.
We've got Drew McEwen coming up at 7:15. Transit Talk at 8:15 and Port of Call at 8:45. All coming up this morning on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, I'm Mary Lynn Foster. There's been some controversy surrounding a recent ordinance adopted by the Mason County Commissioners. According to a state law passed last year, when 2 or more legislative bodies in 2 or more counties have a common concern, one of the counties can go to the other county and hold a meeting with only 24-hour notice. Mason County's ordinance now reflects that law. Concerned citizen Tom Davis wants a 30-day notice, and he told Daybreak why.
My feeling is that it defies reason why the county would want the flexibility to have a meeting outside the county that concerns an issue of the people inside the county and only give those people 24-hour notice. Commissioner Sheldon said, well, you should just make sure that you elect good commissioners. Well, we could do away with the whole checks and balances system if that was the case, and so I don't really give that too much weight. And Commissioner Jeffries said, I want the flexibility. Well, if you want the flexibility, that probably means you're going to exercise the flexibility.
Commissioner Tim Sheldon says that kind of abuse is unlikely.
I don't see a group of nefarious county commissioners getting together to do some secretive meeting outside of the county that's not noticed to the public. If somebody can bring me an example of that, then I think we got to start talking about it seriously. But it's just something you wouldn't do. But if he can find an example of this happening, boy, I'd sure like to hear about it.
35th District Representative Dan Griffey also addressed Davis's concerns.
The legislature was asked to consider the ability the county commissioner could meet in off-site locations for very narrow reasons. And the reason was if they were going to interview legislative appointees. So if they have a vacancy in the legislature, the 35th District covers 3 counties. Those 3 county commissioners could get together, do an interview of all the candidates all at one time. They could then make an appointment. But I do understand his concerns, and I think we have to monitor the situation, and we might have to put some sideboards on the topics that can be discussed in that 24-hour window.
Sure.
But I do believe that the counties in an emergency situation like these appointments to do these interviews, they might need that flexibility.
Find all of these discussions on the Daybreak page on iFIBER1newsradio.com. The city of Gig Harbor has a controversy of its own. Citing trends, the city's planning commission sees cottage housing as an attractive opportunity and wants the city to consider a zoning amendment. But the group Citizens for the Preservation of Gig Harbor believes more cottage housing would negatively impact the community. The mayor has encouraged residents to learn more about the concept before casting judgments. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
Hi, I'm Ken Slater, the Roof Doctor. If you're like me, your family's important, so make sure that they're well taken care of. One of the best ways to do that is to provide a safe and warm home to live in. For over 50 years, the Roof Doctor has been helping families stay safe and warm by building roofs that last for generations. Our teams have some of the most experienced roofers in the area, and we only use the highest quality materials to keep your family safe, warm, and dry. That's the Roof Doctor. Give us a call.
Dave Packer reporting on sports. The number 2 Kansas Jayhawks have their sights set on a 12th consecutive Big 12 title, but number 19 Baylor stood in their way on Tuesday.
Graham over to Selden. Selden driving, shooting, and scoring. He got it!
On the Jayhawk IMG Sports Network as Kansas hangs on for the 66-60 win, their 8th in a row. Another victory on Saturday against Texas Tech gives the Jayhawks at least a share of the Big 12 title. We move to the Big Ten, where Michigan State's Bryn Forbes was dialed in against Ohio State.
Pass out of the corner. Forbes, another 3 try and another 3 make. What a night for Forbes. He's got 8 triples.
On ESPN Radio, as Forbes finished with 27 points, and the Spartans finished with an 81-62 win. Major League Baseball news, Rockies shortstop Jose Reyes will be put on paid leave pending the resolution of his domestic violence case in Hawaii. To the NBA we go, where it doesn't get much hotter than Damian Lillard and the Portland Trailblazers right now.
Plumlee out front. Lopez backs off. Back to Lillard. He gets to the rim and lays it in with the left hand. Beautiful pass from Plumlee.
On KPOJ, as Lillard and teammate C.J. McCollum both finished with 34 points, and the Blazers got their 6th straight win, 112-104 over Brooklyn. Elsewhere in the association, free basketball in Utah.
Hood lines up hard with 7. Drives with the right hand. Hesitates. Goes up. Lot of contact. No call. Misses. Famous foul. Yes.
On KZNS, as the Jazz squeak past the Rockets in overtime, 117-114. On the ice, Nashville fans were missing some hats thanks to Philip Forsberg.
Played quickly over to Yossi by Ellis, and that shot's up the rebound, trying to fire it in, and the Predators score again. Well, folks, where are the hats? I'm looking for hats.
On 102.5, the game as Forsberg's natural hat trick helped the Predators get past the Maple Leafs in Toronto 3-2. Dave Packer, ABC Sports.
The Tom Hartman Show, live 9 to noon, weekdays on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
This is not an election cycle where middle-of-the-road Democrats are going to stir up enough of the base and enough excitement and enthusiasm that they're going to seriously win elections. And that's the thing that Republicans have figured out and Democrats have yet to learn, which is that elections are not about swaying so-called undecided voters. They're about stirring up the base. The base will bring the undecided voters along with them. They'll do it through social media. They'll do it through talking to their neighbors. They'll do it by talking to people in the workplace. But you've got to energize the base.
6:36 at iFIBER ONE Newsradio, AM 1030 and FM 103.3. I'm Jeff Slakey. Good morning to you. 6:35. Clint Dempsey scored in both halves, including a curling free kick just before halftime. But the Seattle Sounders settled for a 2-2 draw with Club America in the first leg of the CONCACAF Champions League quarterfinals last night. Dempsey scored in the 44th and 52nd minutes. Seattle's backline cracked under pressure from Club America and now goes to Aztec Stadium next week with the Sounders likely needing a victory to advance. U.S. Soccer is launching a Girls Development Academy program next year aimed at the cultivation of elite-level players. Program modeled after the Boys Development Academy, which was launched in 2007 and now includes 152 clubs in 5 age groups. Girls program announced Tuesday initially include 3 groups, under 14-15, under 16-17, and under 18-19. The teams will play only other academy teams, local, regional, and national levels, practice minimum of 4 times a week. Pretty cool stuff there. We've got Gonzaga basketball for you. They've got a game tomorrow night. We're having our next broadcast of Gonzaga Saturday versus BYU, the pregame at 4:40 and the tip-off just after 5. This will be the final game of the regular season, and moving into the WCC tournament after that. We will follow Gonzaga as far as they make it through the tournament and beyond right here on iFIBER ONE. 6:39 now, and Carol's got a check at the side. South Sound forecast.
Good morning. It's 34, cloudy outside. It's going to be a little bit sunny later today. We're going to reach a high of 59. Overnight, we're still going to stay in the low or upper 30s. And tomorrow, we're going to have some sunshine. It's supposed to be about 62. So sun with a few passing clouds. Overnight low still in the 30s, but I'm not going to say what's going to happen on Friday yet.
Good. We got a few days to get there.
The high is 34.
Now, from the iFIBER One News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
6:39 at iFIBER One, and a good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey, and Carol, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, Jeff. Doing great.
Good.
Doing great. It's Wednesday, halfway through the week. It is Wednesday, right?
It is Wednesday today.
Last Wednesday at this time. Were you here? Had you come back already?
Yeah, because I did protocol last week.
That's right.
Took Kaiser to a makeup swim lesson because of our holiday last night. Him and I got in the pool over the weekend, and give it about a 50-50 on our excitement levels. Last night, he did it again, where he's very close to getting some of his final, 2-year-old molars in the back. And I am hearing from folks that that's going to be a rough situation for all parties involved. But we had a good time in the pool last night. He's jumping in, good stuff.
So he just jumps in by himself.
He doesn't know how to jump. I mean, he doesn't understand the concept of jumping. He kind of stands on the edge and holds his arms up and sticks out his belly and then just kind of flops forward.
Belly flops?
Yeah, if we weren't there to catch him, it'd be a belly flop for sure.
Oh, okay, so you actually catch him. You don't let him hit the water.
No, I don't want to traumatize
that's how he's going to learn how to swim. Just let him fall.
Just throw him in.
So you do with your pets, right?
Jeez. Carol actually had 7 sisters growing up, but 2 of them didn't know how to swim, apparently. All right, good morning to you. Port of Longview commissioners have ended talks with the Texas developer of an $800 million oil refinery and a propane terminal in southwest Washington. The Daily News of Longview says commissioners voted yesterday to end talks with Waterside Energy. Company proposed on 2 projects on land adjacent to the port, but they had to use port property for its activities.
Authorities have identified the 2 people who died in a power explosion that leveled a home in Port Orchard. Kitsap County Sheriff's deputies say the explosion killed William B. McDonald and his wife, Mary McDonald. Authorities have all but ruled out homicide as a cause of the explosion, but they have not determined how it happened.
We'll continue with the Associated Press stories in a moment, but we wanted to make sure people were aware that the story that we had yesterday on the Zika virus and the outbreak here in Mason County, the update, the man is recovering from the first case of the virus here in the state, has recovered, health officials said. Mason County Health Officer Diana Yu said the unidentified man in his 20s, treated at Providence St. Peter in Olympia, where he was diagnosed, believed to have gotten it while he was in Tonga, which is a Polynesian sovereign state. Dr. Yu goes on to make more comments. People are being exposed to the virus by traveling to Zika virus affected areas and being bitten by infected mosquitoes. Good news is that mosquito species known to transmit the disease don't live here, making it highly unlikely the virus could spread through a mosquito bite.
Right. So my mom was watching something about the whole Zika thing.
Okay.
Or listening to a program, and they were talking about they are still sort of, because I heard your question about could the mosquito spread through the blood. So
sure.
They are still a little, they never really had an answer for that.
Yeah, that was my question. So if I have, or somebody has this, and a Washington mosquito comes and gives me a mosquito bite, will that mosquito either within it internally pick up the virus, or even in the snout have a little remnants? And how small can it be to pass along? We don't know.
I don't know.
U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is investigating at least 14 reported cases of sexually transmitted Zika virus here in the U.S. According to a new health alert from the high number of cases led the CDC to issue the high alert as a strong reminder to the public and medical providers that this virus can be transmitted through sexual content. People should take precautions. 6:43, we'll be right back after this.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Looking for a more exciting place to play? Discover the newly expanded gaming floor and awesome new sports bar at Lucky Eagle Casino. You'll find hundreds of new machines on the floor, plus 20 HD TVs, a huge big screen, 35 beers on tap, and great food in the sports bar. So what are you waiting for? Come get your game on at Lucky Eagle Casino and Hotel, I-5 to exit 88, Rochester, Washington. Now more than ever, where you belong. Details at luckyeagle.com.
Need a ride? Call 426-8294. Mason County Taxi, 426-8294. Anytime, anywhere. Call when you need a quick, affordable ride. 426-TAXI, 426-8294.
There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.
Hi guys, Kat here with iFIBER One News Radio. What if I told you that radio advertising is far more effective than print media? Think about all of your customers driving to work, appointments, or events, all the while listening to the radio. Imagine your commercial airs on iFIBER One News Radio and the customer decides, hey, I'm right by there. I'm going to go check it out. Radio captures you and literally speaks to you and your customers several times a day. This enables you to build a unique message that reminds your customers what you have to offer. Remember, your customers can either drive to you or through you. And here at iFIBER One News Radio, we want to direct customers to you. Being the only talk radio formatted station in the entire South Sound region, we have an entire new market for your business to advertise in. As your sales lady, I take pride in providing your business with the best advertising because I want your business to succeed. So call me today at 360-463-2558 and ask for Kat.
Rabies in cattle is more common than you think. Hi, I'm Jody Henke. If you notice a cow with a sudden change in its behavior, a rabies infection should be considered as you're living the country life.
Brought to you by Kubota. From transporting family and friends to hauling more cargo, Kubota's RTV X1140 utility vehicle allows you to do more. Visit Kubota.com for details.
The challenge of creating beautiful landscapes is made easier with the help of Kubota's Commander residential zero-turn mower. Engineered to provide excellent maneuverability, high efficiency, and a superior cut, Kubota's Commander is the perfect choice for those seeking a professional-grade mower at a competitive price point. What are you waiting for? Visit your local Kubota dealer to explore the possibilities and take advantage of low-rate, long-term financing going on now. We are Kubota. This is what we do.
Morton Buildings, the best in the construction business since 1903. If you're ready for a new farm storage facility, insulated workshop, hobby garage, horse barn, or custom home, Morton will provide the building you'll be proud to call your own. Contact us today during Building Value Days. It's the biggest sales event of the year. Don't miss the opportunity to get the best building at the best price. Find the building of your dreams at mortonbuildings.com.
We don't often think of cattle as becoming infected with rabies, but it does happen, and producers need to be aware of that. Wildlife such as skunks, raccoons, and foxes are typical carriers of the disease. If they wander into the pasture, they could bite a curious cow and pass along the infection. Incubation time in large animals can be weeks or months, depending on the bite location. Greg Hanselchek is a bovine veterinarian at Kansas State University. He says there are two types of rabies in cattle, dumb form and furious form.
Typically, if it's a dumb form, the animal just acts like they're not aware of their surroundings. They may stand in a corner and head press. They just stand there and act like they're not aware of anything going on whatsoever. Furious form is just when they start attacking both animate and inanimate objects. They'll just all of a sudden attack a tractor or attack one of its pen mates.
Rabies makes it difficult to swallow, so the animal might salivate. Don't touch its mouth because you will then be exposed to the virus through the saliva. Other physical signs are varied and they can mimic other diseases.
Sometimes it starts out as a subtle lower limb lameness. That's why I say there really isn't any classical sign. We just say for cattle producers, if they have an animal in their herd that all of a sudden has a behavioral change, doesn't act like they usually do, then rabies needs to be on top of the list.
There is no treatment for rabies, and the disease will kill the animal within a few days. If you show cattle, Hansel Check recommends vaccinating them. If show animals contract rabies, there is more of a chance of exposure to humans. It's also wise to vaccinate an entire herd if rabies is prevalent in your area. Learn more about rabies in cattle at livingthecountrylife.com. I'll see you in the country.
Living the Country Life. Ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. You can find more information on today's topic, share your tips, and post photos by visiting us online.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
6:49 at iFIBER ONE News Radio. Good morning to you. Morning, Carol.
Good morning, Jeff. What's up?
Well, it just seems like not that long ago that we were trying to come up with something to do on Super Sunday because the Seahawks weren't in the big game. Mm-hmm. What wasn't that long ago, was it?
February 6th.
This is the beginning of the month.
February 7th.
It was the day after the polar plunge.
Yes, it was. You were still recovering.
I was. I'm looking at a photo on the Twitter sphere. Mm-hmm. Combine. The NFL Combine is getting underway today.
What is that?
So that's where everybody, potential players in college and for other folks too, they head to where Indianapolis plays, the Colts Stadium in the middle of the country. They all show up for the Combine, and that's where you do your running tests. And this is where folks can get a first look at potential new NFL ball players.
Okay.
Then they do the Wonderlic test, which is their questioning, reasoning tests.
So they already do that now?
That's what I'm saying. It's been 3 weeks since the Super Bowl, and it never ends.
So I guess the coaches are speaking to the media right now.
People will be showing up. Some coaches show up.
Okay, well, so Raiders coach Jack Del Rio is speaking to the media today, and Pete Carroll, I guess, is going to speak on Thursday.
Yeah, they just go and they watch. They see how fast people can run the 440 or whatever it is, and then they look to the draft, which is getting ready, and then the next thing you know,
man, those guys just don't get a break.
Oh,
I hope they get paid enough.
I did see that they raised the cap. There was some arbitration stuff, and they are raising the salary cap $1.5 million, I think, per team to add some more depths in that. 6:51 right now. Good morning to you. Marilyn Foster has some news of note from the South Sound for you, including a conversation that really has started gaining some traction from multiple sides of the issue. And we're talking about the county commission meeting, amending the code to get in line with the state law that was voted on last year,
right,
to allow for commissioners to meet outside county for county business. And Dan Griffey, when he was on, boy, he sure explained it in a way that I had not heard before,
right?
With the 35th district being over a tri-county space, let's say, heaven forbid, one of our electeds, the three, can't fulfill their duties anymore and then needs to be replaced, then they're going to have to figure that out through the tri-county system.
But why do they have to do that through the tri-county system?
Because the 35th district...
Okay.
And the county commissioners are the one that bring it forward.
True, but I guess the other confusing part, and I suppose it was brought up in last night's city commission meeting, there is two actual bills that were passed about it or talked about it. So we'll get some more information on that. It's not going to go away just yet.
Nah, they're still working on it. 6:53 here. Old Farmer's Almanac coming up next, and we will have some other stories for you, including... Burger King selling hot dogs now?
Why would they do that?
Why haven't they done that? That's my question.
Always looking on the other side.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
If you're a proponent of eating local, get used to hearing the acronym CSA. We'll tell you what it's all about on the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Thursday, February 25th, the 56th day of the year. The late Beatle George Harrison was born on this day. There's a new model emerging in the way food gets from farm to our dinner tables. It's called the CSA, or Community Supported Agriculture. It works like this. Before the growing season, a consumer can purchase shares of farm's production. In return, they receive a weekly delivery of vegetables, eggs, meat, cheese, or other options. In a good year, you share in the rewards of a good harvest, but you also share the same risks that farmers face every year. The shared risks, say proponents, creates a stronger sense of community and a greater investment of the welfare of local agriculture. That is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. Learn more at almanac.com.
Yeah, not on the Truman Show.
That's what it feels like we're on.
6:55 at iFIBER One.
Camera
It's all been a big ruse. My whole life has been a big ruse.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
So I'm going to make an admission here that I dip my French fries in my Frosties if I go to Wendy's. I've also been known to dip my hamburgers in Frosties as well.
I've heard people do that.
So delicious.
It's just gross.
It's so delicious. People are trying to gain
It just
market.
makes the heat cold. Why would you want to make a hot French fry cold?
You get a nice, crisp, salty French fry, and you dip it in a chocolate Frosty.
Yeah.
There's nothing better.
It's horrible.
So people are always trying to come up with new ideas to gain market share in these fast food wars. And people have been kind of waning, and now we're coming back. They got that all-day breakfast at McDonald's, and looks like Burger King now is looking to...
Well, they launched 2 grilled hot dogs on the menu yesterday, which the company has been touting as a really big deal over the last few weeks.
It's huge.
Huge. So if Trump was tweeting, he'd go, boring. Some of the tweeters...
Who puts ketchup on their hot
Twitter
dog?
world, are wondering, I can't read some of them, but why is Burger King selling hot dogs?
Because people like hot dogs, and you want to go convenience-wise, you go to where you go.
Yeah, but Burger King is the one with that really horrible-looking mask that person wears, right? That's their...
I mean, that's really horrible is a bit of a stretch. I like the Burger King mask.
Oh, I can't stand that Burger King guy. He is creepy.
Oh, he's very creepy.
And now that he's selling hot dogs, the whole thing is just creeping me.
Are you a hot dog eater? Do you eat hot dogs?
I do love hot dogs.
You put ketchup on them?
Yeah, I do.
Well,
I know you're like a mustard purist, right?
I heard that after 18 years of age, you're only supposed to put mustard on your hot dogs. I haven't put ketchup on a hot dog in so
You live
long.
by too many rules, Slicky.
I do live by. I don't think it's a great idea for him. Why not? Why not sell an alternative? It's the same as garden burgers. Or French fries or chicken nuggets, I suppose.
Well, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. I mean, the campaign wants people to tweet using the hashtag hot dog democracy. Stand for life, liberty, and the pursuit of hot dog choices.
I don't know about all that political stuff that they're adding into it just because it's an election year, but pretty interesting, pretty interesting.
Well, you can get a chili cheese dog with also, so there you go.
Got a minute and a half until CNBC Business Radio Report. We do have a story about Celine's return to Las Vegas last night. It wasn't the only thing that was happening in Las Vegas. There was all those caucuses that happened. Trump ends up winning that by a good set. And if people were down there caucusing, one of the things that you can do is, I'm not going to advocate this, but you can go to the sports book and place a bet on things. The Cubbies are the Cubbies. Have 4-1 odds to win the World Series this year. It is the best odds of all the major league teams. More people have bet on the Cubs to win than any other team. And they got their manager there. It's amazing to see how many people are betting on the Cubs. 4-1 odds this year. Pretty amazing. Cubs. The Los Angeles Dodgers and the Houston Astros are favored 10-1 in the Superbook, according to ESPN. Every year, there's always a lot of tickets. And now that they're kind of good, you can basically double that. You get the people that are betting just because they're the Cubs and they bet on them forever. But then there's the folks that actually think they're going to win. And that is a pretty big segment of the baseball population.
Yeah, well, put the pressure on them, and then the Mariners just sneak right through.
I like your thinking.
We just take it over. We don't got the pressure on us. We use our numbers game.
Pay no mind to that person behind the curtain.
That's
what
right.
you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
I like it. 7 o'clock, iFIBER 1, CNBC Business Radio Report on now.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER 1 News Radio.
I'm Chris Maurer, CNBC Business Radio. Stocks are lower. The Dow's down 232 points. The Nasdaq lower by 71. Apple is planning to tell a federal judge that Congress and not the courts should decide the outcome of its encryption fight with the government. The company will file legal papers this week. Apple is refusing to cooperate with the FBI in hacking into a phone used by the San Bernardino shooter, saying it will hurt the privacy of millions of users. Honda says it wants 2/3 of its lineup to be more environmentally friendly by 2030. Right now, only about 5% of its fleet uses alternative energy. The Japanese automaker says it will focus on gas battery hybrids, plug-in hybrids, battery electric, and fuel cell powered vehicles. And Facebook has rolled out its reactions worldwide. It's an extension of the like button, but now allows users to select from 7 emotions.
It's fun to splurge on nice things, but it's better to get those same nice things at a great value, like a Honda certified pre-owned vehicle, the best certified pre-owned value in America, and backed by a limited warranty. Let Honda certified pre-owned take you farther. Visit HondaCertified.com and search for local inventory. Honda, start something special.
Based on 2015 VinCentric Best CPO Value in America Awards analysis, applicable to 2011 to 2015 Honda model years. See dealer for limited warranty details.
7-Eleven now has these amazing new breakfast melts, and they're only $2.99. Bacon.
We are experiencing technical difficulties. Our announcer decided to try the product. He was trying to explain 7-Eleven has 2 new melts that are toasted in-store, a bacon, egg, and cheese, and a sausage, bacon, and cheese. Both with thick-cut hickory-smoked bacon and aged cheddar cheese served on an artisan ciabatta roll for only $2.99.
Only 7-Eleven.
Yeah, only.
Alex Jones and InfoWars on from 6 to 9, weekdays on iFIBER 1 News Radio, AM 1030 and FM 1033, KMAS Shelton.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Karen Chase. Donald Trump and Marco Rubio are both claiming victory in the Nevada caucuses. Trump was the runaway winner with many more votes and claims it should propel him to more victories Super Tuesday. Rubio says he feels good about his second-place finish since there are lots of races ahead. ABC's Tom Yamas is in Vegas with the breakdown.
In Vegas, they say the trend is your friend, and the trend is definitely favoring Donald Trump. Last night, a huge win in Nevada. More than 40% of caucus goers picking Trump. His margin was so big, his margin of victory, he was already on the victory stage celebrating hours before they could even figure out who was second or third.
Ted Cruz finished third, less than 2,000 votes behind Rubio. The cleanup and damage assessment are just getting underway in Florida, Louisiana, and Mississippi after a string of tornadoes stormed through. ABC's Lindsay Janis tells us one Pensacola apartment complex was leveled.
The people we spoke to that were in the apartment said they had only seconds from the moment their phones went off with a warning telling them to take cover to the time the tornado came. They said some of them maybe made it into their bathrooms, but miraculously, no one died and no one was even seriously injured.
Apple says Congress, not the courts, should make critical decisions about iPhone encryption. In court filings, Apple is also suggesting that the court order to unlock a terrorist's iPhone is improper. President Obama says he'll pick a Supreme Court nominee with a sterling record and a clear understanding of how the law affects people. Senate Republican leaders say it doesn't matter since they won't hold hearings on anyone. ABC's Mary Bruce says even so.
The White House is continuing to be optimistic. In response to Republicans' refusal to consider the president's nominee, White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest said absolutely a hearing and a vote on the president's eventual nominee could still happen. But it certainly doesn't seem likely.
Her heart will go on. Celine Dion tearfully returned to the stage in Las Vegas last night for the first time since her husband's death, saying her music career was his masterpiece and she couldn't leave it unfinished. This is ABC News.
QL1, does Rocket Mortgage require me to fill out a bunch of paperwork? Negative control. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that quickly imports your financial data. You can go through the entire mortgage approval process in minutes. That is fast, like rocket fast. It also works on any internet-ready device, so you can get a Rocket Mortgage at any time or place you choose. Over. 3, 2, 1. Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage.
Rocket. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS Consumer Access.org number 3030.
How do most people discover the blends of tea they like? Trial and error. But at Twinings of London, we believe in just trial. That's because we have 9 master blenders traveling the world to find the best teas, spices, and herbs for the perfect balance of taste, flavor, and aroma. With over 50 great tasting varieties, we wouldn't mind if you tried them all. Twinings of London. Teas that fit your every mood. Available at Target, QFC, or TwiningsUSA.com.
The nation's biggest airlines are offering yet another class of flying, lower than economy. ABC's Ryan Burrow explains.
Delta Airlines began offering basic economy seats in 2015. They're the cheapest seats in coach, but flyers who pick the option cannot reserve their seats, which makes sitting with family or friends difficult, and upgrades are not an option a day after booking. Now United and American Airlines are offering similar discounted seats. It's a way for the big carriers to compete with bare bones carriers like Spirit and Frontier, and it also cuts some administrative costs. Critics say the airlines are making basic economy so unpleasant, many passengers will pay more to upgrade to standard economy. Ryan Burrow, ABC News.
It's one of the latest viral videos heating up the internet. Caught on camera by a passerby, a goat inside a car in a Massachusetts parking lot, flashing the lights no less. The car owner found out when she saw the video. She says she's amused and a bit embarrassed. She had just bought the goat and stopped off at a Home Depot, thinking the animal was too big to climb into the front seat. It did, and turned on the hazards. Karen Chase, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com, 427-4489.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. There's been some controversy surrounding a recent ordinance adopted by the Mason County Commissioners. According to a state law passed last year, when 2 or more legislative bodies in 2 or more counties have a common concern, one of the counties can go to the other county and hold a meeting with only 24-hour notice. Mason County's ordinance now reflects that law. Concerned citizen Tom Davis wants a 30-day notice. He told Daybreak why.
My feeling is that it defies reason why the county would want the flexibility to have a meeting outside the county that concerns an issue of the people inside the county and only give those people 24-hour notice. Commissioner Sheldon said, well, you should just make sure that you elect good commissioners. Well, we could do away with the whole checks and balances system if that was the case, and so I don't really give that too much weight. And Commissioner Jeffries said, I want the flexibility. Well, if you want the flexibility, that probably means you're going to exercise the flexibility.
Commissioner Tim Sheldon says that kind of abuse is unlikely.
I don't see a group of nefarious county commissioners getting together to do some secretive meeting outside of the county that's not noticed to the public. If somebody can bring me an example of that, then I think we got to start talking about it seriously. But it's just something you wouldn't do. But if he can find an example of this happening, boy, I'd sure like to hear about it.
35th District Representative Dan Griffey also addressed Davis's concerns.
The legislature was asked to consider the ability the county commissioner could meet in off-site locations for very narrow reasons. And the reason was if they were going to interview legislative appointees. So if they have a vacancy in the legislature, the 35th District covers 3 counties. Those 3 county commissioners could get together, do an interview of all the candidates all at one time. They could then make an appointment. But I do understand his concerns, and I think we have to monitor the situation, and we might have to put some sideboards on the topics that can be discussed in that 24-hour window. Sure. But I do believe that the counties in an emergency situation like these appointments to do these interviews, they might need that flexibility.
Find all of these discussions on the Daybreak page on iFIBER1Newsradio.com. The city of Gig Harbor has a controversy of its own. Citing trends, the city's planning commission sees cottage housing as an attractive opportunity and wants the city to consider a zoning amendment. But the group Citizens for the Preservation of Gig Harbor believes more cottage housing would negatively impact the community. The mayor has encouraged residents to learn more about the concept before casting judgments. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 1033, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
Alex Jones and InfoWars. Weeknights 6 to 9 on iFIBER One News Radio.
But they run this hoax. It's the law. No, there is no law. And they all engage in this big conspiracy because they think it's the right thing to do. And then once it starts killing people, they can never admit, oh my gosh, this is a eugenics program. This is a mass public testing program. No, no, no. There's no admissions of that. It's just make fun of anybody that talks about it and say that we're going to make everybody sick. That's all over the news now. You're going to make me sick. You take a vaccine.
This is Doug Sample from Whitney Chevrolet. We're going to save you money. Montesano has one of the lowest sales tax rates in the state. Plus, our costs are way less than other dealers. And right now, we're offering up to 90 days with no payments on any new or used vehicles with proof of your tax refund. They all come with lifetime oil changes to boot. Stop by and visit WhitneyChev.com to check out our inventory.
A $150 negotiable document fee may be added to the price of all vehicles.
Worth the drive to Whitney's, just down the road to Whitney.
For iFIBER One News Radio, it's Daybreak. I'm Jeff Slakey at AM 1030 and FM 1033, streaming online at iFIBER1newsradio.com. You can watch the show as well via YouTube. Clint Dempsey scored in both halves, but the Seattle Sounders settled for a 2-2 draw with Club America in the first leg of the CONCACAF Champions League quarterfinals last night. Seattle will now go to Aztec Stadium next week, and they'll likely need a victory to advance. Portland Trail Blazers beat the Brooklyn Nets 112-104 last night, their sixth consecutive victory. U.S. Soccer has announced a Girls Development Academy similar to the Boys Development Academy launched back in 2007 as an effort to cultivate elite-level players. Gonzaga has a basketball game for the fans tomorrow. Saturday will be our next broadcast of Gonzaga basketball, coincidentally also the last home game, or last regular season game. Taken on BYU, the pregame is at 4:40 and the tip-off will be at 5 o'clock. And still pitchers and catchers and people stretching and getting ready to get underway for spring training baseball down in Peoria. Really fun to hear about all that stuff that's been happening with the Mariners. We've got no fewer than 10 preseason games for you. And then once the regular season gets underway, we are going for it full bore, hopefully following the Mariners all the way through the playoffs and beyond. As of now, the Cubbies are the favored team to win it all. The Chicago Cubs, not since 1908.
Well, let's put the pressure on them and see how they do.
Hopefully they do well up until the final World Series when the Mariners beat them. 7-Eleven right now. Here's Carol checking the weather.
Good morning. It's 36, cloudy, and it's going to stay cloudy, but we will see some sun today. It'll be a high of 59. Tomorrow, a lot more sun with a few passing clouds, and we should see a high of 61. Last time I didn't tell you about Friday, but it looks like it might rain Friday.
Okay.
So
well,
get out and mow your lawn if you have to. Your lawn
it's just moss. It is gross.
Oh, right now it's 36.
Now, from the iFIBER One News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
7-Eleven at iFIBER One News Radio, and a good morning to you. We'll check the Associated Press and the Great Northwest here in a moment, but an update for you on a story we broke yesterday. Mason County man diagnosed with the first case of Zika virus in Washington State has recovered. Dr. Diana Yu, the Mason County health officer, said the unidentified man in his 20s recently treated at Providence St. Peter's Hospital in Olympia, where he was diagnosed. A man believed to have contracted it in Tonga, which is a Polynesian sovereign state. Jeff Chu has a great write-up on iFIBER One News Radio about this situation and the updated information on it.
A Senate panel has allocated an additional $75,000 to an investigator hired to help the chamber with its inquiry into the early release of prisoners in Washington state. The software coding error led to the early release of up to 3,200 prisoners since 2002 because of miscalculated sentences. And at least 2 deaths have been tied to the early release, and I think 3 people have been forced to resign.
Yeah, in the state offices, for sure. We had another story for you yesterday on Daybreak regarding the Port Orchard explosion. Authorities have identified the 2 people who died in that explosion that leveled a home. Kitsap County Sheriff's deputies say the explosion killed William B. McDonald and his wife, Maria McDonald. All but ruled out homicide as a cause, but they have not determined how it happened.
Another story that we can get into later is the House is not going to seek to impeach the state auditor.
Oh, well, that'll be interesting as we get ready to talk with Drew McEwen, actually, just in a couple moments.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Advice for retirees. I'm ABC's Chief Business and Economics Correspondent, Rebecca Jarvis, with today's tax tip. Those golden years may not be so golden as you hoped come tax time.
It's very important to realize that when you retire, your taxes may very well go up.
Tom Wheelwright is the CEO and founder of CPA firm Provision. He says you're losing some big write-offs.
You don't have your business deductions. You don't have your employment deductions. If you're really lucky, your kids have moved out, right? And so you don't have them as dependents. And you may have paid off your house. So you have a lot fewer deductions.
So it's best to look ahead. The IRS's Eric Smith says if you want money for retirement without paying tax on it, you can enroll in a Roth IRA or a company 401k.
What you're essentially doing is putting in money up front. You're not getting a tax deduction, but the money grows tax-free. And if you withdraw it properly, it's tax-free.
With today's tax tip, Rebecca Jarvis, ABC News.
Wittenberg CPA is a professional accounting, tax, and financial consulting firm serving the diverse needs of their businesses and individual clients. They bring excellence and integrity to every aspect of their work, from accounting software support like QuickBooks to tax preparation for individual and business needs, as well as personal financial and estate planning services. Wittenberg CPA has the services you or your business needs this year for taxes. Find them online at wittenbergcpa.com or call 426-0230. That's 426-0230.
Hi, this is Terry Allen with a look at the community calendar on iFIBER One News Radio. Nonprofits post your upcoming events on iFiberOneNewsRadio.com. Yoga classes are held every Monday and Wednesday evening from 6 to 7:30 at Harmony Hill. Everyone's welcome, regardless of fitness level or experience. Drop-in fee is $12. Call 898-2363 for more info. For iFIBER One News Radio, I'm Terry Allen.
iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
7:15 on a Wednesday morning, and a good morning to you, Sue. Happy to have on the phone line today and all throughout the session, 35th District Representative Drew McEwen on the phone. Good morning, Drew.
Good morning. How are we today?
We're doing well, thank you much. We had a chance to talk with Dan Griffey yesterday at the same time, and we were talking about some of the bills that have moved over to the Senate, and now the Senate bills are back in the House committees to look over for some perhaps final passage. First, though, this came out yesterday. Leaders in Washington's House of Representatives say they don't plan to impeach State Auditor Troy Kelly, who's fighting those federal charges, tax evasion, money laundering, and perjury. I know you've been working hard on this to impeach him. What do you have to say about these recent developments?
Yeah, well, and I knew about the letter. We were the courtesy was given to me to ask my opinion of it, and I gave it a week ago in private. And so this has been my frustration. I think that, and I advocated from the beginning, we needed to do it at the beginning of the session. And in politics, you kill something by delay, and the speaker chose to delay, and so here we are. And now you get the Senate up in arms that, oh my God, if you send this over, we don't have much time left, et cetera. And so, I could have exercised my right as a member to push it forward to a floor vote through a procedural motion, and it would have failed because you don't. It's the same for both parties. You don't break on a procedural vote, and so it wouldn't have gotten further. It would have given me a last stand, so to speak, and to say that I brought it to the floor. But it would have inflamed the what are already fragile relations between the House and the Senate, and so begrudgingly, I chose to be a team player and not do that. And and as in a compromise, they did this letter to put it forward to Mr. Kelly once again to please resign, and I think we all know he's not going to. And
right.
I think the basis for them not wanting to do it's flawed, but that's a difference of opinion, and we'll move on. And he goes to trial in a couple of weeks, and again the impeachment had nothing to do with his federal charges. It had everything to do with him frankly abandoning the office and giving his authority to a non-elected individual, and that was the crux of it. And I believe that our case for that was strong. It had bipartisan support, but it's the way these things go. It's and I think the other part of the equation in all of this is that people, we naturally are reluctant to do something that we don't quite fully understand. And, thankfully in the state, we haven't had to deal with this kind of thing. Last time was 1909. In fact, that was the only time. And so when you're in that situation, people there's a reluctance to take on something that you might not totally grasp how it's going to turn out.
Sure.
And it is what it is. And we'll move on. And, I might still do a procedural right at the end of session, and but we'll worry about that later.
Is there, when he goes through his federal trials for all of this stuff, does it kind of then, do you think that your what you would like to put forward kind of will go to the wayside because it's already been federally adjudicated, or because it's a different matter, you still want to see it go through so there's some precedent in the state moving forward, or?
Well, under state law, and this is part of the reason that the Senate didn't want to take this up, because we're getting close. He goes on trial in the middle of March. I don't know the exact date, but under state law, a convicted felon cannot hold public office, and so some research has been done on that as to does the legislature actually have to take action if he's convicted on his federal charges, and the consensus is no, he does not. The Secretary of State would issue a declaratory vacant office, and then the governor would appoint a replacement. So he gets convicted. It's gonna, he's gonna be out of office.
Sure.
Who knows how long this trial could go, though? I mean, I forget how many charges he's at. I want to say it's 17, but it's a lot. And I don't see this. This is not going to be a one-week trial. It's probably going to go on for a number of months.
One of the great things that we like to do here is be able to talk with you on an ongoing basis about this. You had a town hall last night. How was the response from your participants in the district?
Yeah, so it was a telephone town hall. So it was done kind of like a radio show, kind of like this. You have callers. It's a neat format to do it. It makes it convenient for people to be able to do it from their own home. And we were in the hundreds in the number of callers. We get a report back from the system, and I'll have that today as the actual number. So off the top of my head, I don't know it exactly, but it was good. Had to cut it a little short because I was in appropriations last night. We passed out the budget, but I do appreciate the opportunity to speak with constituents in that kind of a format. Again, I think it's convenient for both sides and just allows some give and take. But again, we did have to cut it short a little bit. We sought appropriations. We passed the budget out last night. It was done on a party line vote, which is typical at the committee level on this. It's posturing for negotiations, and I think there's been a lot of progress though made. I'll credit the budget chair, Hans Dunshee, who I've worked with since I first came to office 4 years ago, and but I think there's still room for improvement in there, but it allows the process to move forward, and it'll be voted off the House floor probably tomorrow, and then we hunker down with the Senate and get a final budget put together.
What were some things in there that you like? What were some of the things you didn't like?
Yeah, it's always easier to talk about the things I didn't like. So, but having said that, we address the wildfire issues, which we have to do, so that's good. But I don't like the way in which we're doing it. We're tapping we have what's called the budget stabilization account. That requires a 60% margin to pass to be able to use it. It's essentially like a rainy day fund, and and I think we're falling short on some other areas. And the thing that to me is just frustrating with the budget, and I think a lot of people share this, is that we brush over some things that have long-term ramifications. One of them is here in the district on the Hood Canal, the McCarran Fish Hatchery, and in the governor's proposed budget, he did not include the continued funding of it. The funding to keep that operational is $212,000. But what it does to the economy is bring in $3 million in tax revenue.
Wow.
I mean, give me 1,000 of those every day.
Yeah.
But it gets cut out, and it's frustrating to me. I had an amendment to put it back in there yesterday. I ended up withdrawing it because it's one of those negotiation deals that we're working on with some various stakeholders. But I spoke with the chair after the meeting, after our appropriations meeting last night, and reiterated it to him. And I think there's a good chance that I can get back in there. And then we have other things. I think we've talked about this before on the show, where we have the healthcare authority acknowledging that they're paying twice the cost on certain medical procedures. And it's things like that it's $1 million here and $1 million there. And in the context of a $38 billion budget, it's not a significant impact. But when you add all these up, and we look at some of the things that we're not doing, it's mind-boggling to me. So one of the things I'm going to really work on going into next year is driving us towards zero-based budgeting. We don't do that in the state. We don't even use an Excel format in our budget process. We don't look at where we were last year. We always look at how much can we spend right up to the limit, and I think we got to get away from that process. And it's no wonder that we have the situation that we do with education and the McCleary decision. So I think we need to really revamp the process, and that's my goal as we head towards next year when we do the entire budget for 2 years when we redo it.
So, Drew, the budget is taking a big, a lot of your time. But you're also looking at some bills from the Senate. Are there any bills that you are going to go for that are worth talking about?
Well, so that's that's always the fun thing with cutoffs. So being a Republican in the House and in the minority, I'm thrilled to take on Senate bills that are coming from my party. And conversely, the Senate's like, crap, we got to deal with House bills. And there's good and bad bills coming out of both sides. At the moment, what I'm actually focused on, my victims' rights bill that passed out of the House 2 weeks ago is going to be heard in the Senate Law and Justice Committee today. So short term, that's my focus, get that through committee into the Senate floor for a vote and onto the governor for a signature, which I'm confident if we get it out of the Senate, the governor would sign it. So today I'm looking at that, and I'll start to, because we're working on the budget, today will be the day I really start digging into what's coming from the Senate that I'm going to see here in the next week or so.
35th District Representative Drew McHugh, we do appreciate your time every week at this time, and we'll talk again next week.
Absolutely. You guys have a great day.
Have a good one, Drew.
Thank you.
7:25 at iFIBER 1. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll update you on some other latest of the local news stories. And Mary Lynn Foster's on the way in a few moments as well. It's all right here on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
Hi, everyone. This is Mark Tobert, your advertising consultant from iFIBER ONE Newsradio. Are you missing customers because you only market to a specific group? iFIBER ONE Newsradio can help you hit a larger group of buyers with our diverse audience. We are 24 hours of local and national breaking news, award-winning talk radio, and primetime sports, including local high school sports. What does this mean to you? This means our listeners listen longer to entire programs and don't switch to another station when a commercial comes on. Our coverage in the Puget Sound area hits over 500,000 listeners, including Mason County, Thurston County, Grace Harbor County, King, Pierce, Joint Base Lewis McCourt, and Kitsap County to the Bremerton Naval Base. All advertising is 100% tax deductible. So how can you afford not to advertise? Call me, Mark Tobert, at iFIBER ONE Newsradio to become a total audience plan advertiser. Just call 360-426-1030.
listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio, KMAN.
Good morning to you. It's Daybreak here at iFIBER 1727. Big night in Las Vegas last night. Donald Trump becomes the winner of the Nevada caucus, right? 3 in a row now for him. New Hampshire, South Carolina, and Vegas. But it wasn't the only thing that was going on in Vegas. Celine Dion took the stage last night in what was her first Las Vegas show since the death of her husband, Renee Angeli, last month. The concert at the Coliseum at Caesars began with a special tribute to him. The lights dimmed. A quote from Dion printed in the program for her husband's funeral displayed. I understood that my career was in a way his masterpiece, his song, his symphony. The idea of leaving it unfinished would have hurt him terribly. I realized that if I ever left us, I would have to continue without him, for him. Audience saw a slideshow. Then Celine came out to a standing ovation. Of course, she sang finale here, Where Does My Heart Beat Now? You can kind of hear this in the background, brought to you by CelineDion.com if this loads up, which of course it probably won't now.
Where does my heart beat now?
So we know this great song. Also sang some stuff by Barbara Streisand and Chris Christopherson. Then she took the time to talk to the crowd, and the teary-eyed Celine noted how supportive her husband was.
Every time I close my eyes, I felt Renee on stage with me. Whether he was seated in his seat right there, in the balcony, backstage, or at home with the kids, he's always been on stage with me. And nothing will ever change that.
I can just imagine the emotions that she's going through, part of this. Saying that she and her husband will always be one, closed her speech in part with this one.
I feel and I know he hears me. One way or another, I know he will give me a sign for his approval or not. And now I can feel that he's telling me to zip it and start singing.
So still in good spirits, but an emotional night last night for Celine Dion there at the Coliseum at Caesars.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. There's been some controversy surrounding a recent ordinance adopted by the Mason County Commissioners. According to a state law passed last year, when 2 or more legislative bodies in 2 or more counties have a common concern, one of the counties can go to the other county and hold a meeting with only 24-hour notice. Mason County's ordinance now reflects that law. Concerned citizen Tom Davis wants a 30-day notice, and he told Daybreak why.
My feeling is that it defies reason why the county would want the flexibility to have a meeting outside the county that concerns an issue of the people inside the county and only give those people 24-hour notice. Commissioner Sheldon said, well, you should just make sure that you elect good commissioners. Well, we could do away with the whole checks and balances system if that was the case, and so I don't really give that too much weight. And Commissioner Jeffries said, I want the flexibility. Well, if you want the flexibility, that probably means you're going to exercise the flexibility.
Commissioner Tim Sheldon says that kind of abuse is unlikely.
I don't see a group of nefarious county commissioners getting together to do some secretive meeting outside of the county that's not noticed to the public. If somebody can bring me an example of that, then I think we got to start talking about it seriously. But it's just something you wouldn't do. But if he can find an example of this happening, boy, I'd sure like to hear about it.
35th District Representative Dan Griffey also addressed Davis's concerns.
The legislature was asked to consider the ability the county commissioner could meet in off-site locations for very narrow reasons. And the reason was if they were going to interview legislative appointees. So if they have a vacancy in the legislature, the 35th District covers 3 counties. Those 3 county commissioners could get together, do an interview of all the candidates all at one time. They could then make an appointment. But I do understand his concerns, and I think we have to monitor the situation, and we might have to put some sideboards on the topics that can be discussed in that 24-hour window.
Sure.
But I do believe that the counties in an emergency situation like these appointments to do these interviews, they might need that flexibility.
Find all of these discussions on the Daybreak page on iFIBER1newsradio.com. The city of Gig Harbor has a controversy of its own. Citing trends, the city's planning commission sees cottage housing as an attractive opportunity and wants the city to consider a zoning amendment. But the group Citizens for the Preservation of Gig Harbor believes more cottage housing would negatively impact the community. The mayor has encouraged residents to learn more about the concept before casting judgments. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Marilyn Foster.
Wonder what the outrageously energizing experience of Mountain Dew Kickstart is like? Well, it's like a combo of 3 awesome things. Dew, juice, and caffeine rebooting your entire personal operating system.
Mountain Dew Kickstart is in position for consumption. Release the Mountain Dew Kickstart. Mountain Dew Kickstart released. Experiencing a charge of Mountain Dew Kickstart now.
Mountain Dew Kickstart operation successful.
Roger that.
Get charged up with Mountain Dew Kickstart, now in 4 energizing new flavors like Midnight Grape. It all starts with a kick.
The Chad Benson Show.
How in the world are you going to pay for all that you want to do? And you can only tax people to a certain point. People who are smart, guess what? They get sick and tired of it, and they find other ways to do stuff. All of a sudden, you go from having a certain percentage of something to 100% of nothing.
The Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, live weekdays 3 to 6 on iFIBER One News Radio.
Dave Packer reporting on sports. The number 2 Kansas Jayhawks have their sights set on a 12th consecutive Big 12 title, but number 19 Baylor stood in their way on Tuesday.
Graham over to Selden. Selden driving, shooting, and scoring. He got it!
On the Jayhawk IMG Sports Network as Kansas hangs on for the 66-60 win, their 8th in a row. Another victory on Saturday against Texas Tech gives the Jayhawks at least a share of the Big 12 title. We move to the Big Ten, where Michigan State's Bryn Forbes was dialed in against Ohio State.
Pass out of the corner. Forbes, another 3 try and another 3 make. What a night for Forbes. He's got 8 triples.
On ESPN Radio, as Forbes finished with 27 points, and the Spartans finished with an 81-62 win. Major League Baseball news, Rockies shortstop Jose Reyes will be put on paid leave pending the resolution of his domestic violence case in Hawaii. To the NBA we go, where it doesn't get much hotter than Damian Lillard and the Portland Trail Blazers right now.
Plumlee out front. Lopez backs off. Back to Lillard. He gets to the rim and lays it in with the left hand. Beautiful pass from Plumlee.
On KPOJ, as Lillard and teammate C.J. McCollum both finished with 34 points, and the Blazers got their 6th straight win, 112-104 over Brooklyn. Elsewhere in the association, free basketball in Utah.
Hood lines up Harden with 7. Drives with the right hand. Hesitates. Goes up. Lot of contact. No call. Misses. Famous follow. Yes.
On KZNS, as the Jazz squeak past the Rockets in overtime, 117-114. On the ice, Nashville fans were missing some hats thanks to Philip Forsberg.
Played quickly over to Yossi by Ellis, and that shot's up the rebound, trying to fire it in, and the Predators score again. Well, folks, where are the hats? I'm looking for hats.
On 102.5, the game as Forsberg's natural hat trick helped the Predators get past the Maple Leafs in Toronto 3-2. Dave Packer, ABC Sports.
.37 on a Wednesday morning, and a good morning to you. It's Daybreak. I'm Jeff Slakey, and we'll be checking sports in a moment here on iFIBER One News Radio. Transit Talk coming your way at 8:15 and Port of Call at 8:45. Clint Dempsey scored on both halves, but the Seattle Sounders settled for a 2-2 draw with Club America in the first leg of the CONCACAF Champions League quarterfinals last night. Seattle now heading to Aztec Stadium next week and likely needing a victory to advance. The Portland Trailblazers are on a 6-game winning streak. They beat the Brooklyn Nets last night 112-104. And the U.S. Soccer Club, U.S. Soccer, is launching a girls development academy aimed at cultivation of elite level players. It'll start next year, and it is quite similar to the boys development academy launched in 2007. Now includes 152 clubs in 5 age groups. 7:37, Gonzaga basketball starting to wrap up their regular season of play. Saturday is the last day of regular season play. Going to take on BYU, and the pregame will be at 4:40. Our tip will be at 5. 7:39 right now, and moving on to the South Sound forecast. Let's say hi to Carol.
Oh, good morning, Jeff.
Still stretching that out a little bit, I guess.
36, still a little cool out there, but we're going to see some sun today. We'll reach a high of 59. Tomorrow, a little better high of 62, though there'll be some clouds. And right now, it's 36.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You, from business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
7:39 at iFIBER ONE News Radio. Mason County man diagnosed with the first case of Zika virus in Washington State has recovered. This is an update from yesterday's story. That's what the health official said. Mason County Health Officer Dr. Diana Yu said the unidentified man in his 20s released and treated at Providence St. Peter Hospital, thinking that he got the virus while visiting Tonga, which is a Polynesian sovereign state. People are being exposed to the virus by traveling to the affected areas and being bitten by infected mosquitoes, said Dr. Yu. Good news is that the mosquitoes species known to transmit the disease do not live in the state, making it highly unlikely that the virus could spread here through a mosquito bite. 7:38 here, and some updated information about the Jungle, that homeless camp up in Seattle.
Yeah, the Jungle, you can sort of see as you're driving I-5 north sometimes off the side of the freeway. You can see tents out in the woods. I mean, I don't know if that's considered the Jungle proper, I guess, but the Jungle is considered a homeless camp.
On I-5, right? You're talking about on I-5?
Yeah, off of I-5, yeah.
I remember seeing those when I was up. I don't think that's technically the
right.
Jungle.
I don't think it's the Jungle proper, but you can see homeless people living off the side of the road. So the Salvation Army says the 2 shelters that runs near the Jungle are never full. The nonprofit officials say they do require shelter residents to work, participate in addiction counseling, and go to religious services. But as one employee told the Seattle Times, wouldn't any shelter be better than the Jungle? A person that runs the rehab center for adult men and women says, for the Salvation Army, says the city of Seattle is moving in the wrong direction concerning the Jungle, where hundreds of people live in tents at each night, because they have talked about offering services to this camp, including trash removal and restrooms. And that makes the camp more attractive, and so less people will go to the Salvation Army.
I get this.
But people don't want rules.
Right.
They want to live where they want to live.
They have to participate in addiction counseling. Perhaps many of the members that live in the Jungle currently are not ready in their addiction to find that counseling. And then religious services, I mean, do they get to choose? What if they're agnostic?
Yeah, so, you know, I don't know.
Maybe the Salvation Army should do away with some of these requirements, and maybe they'll see people show up.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough situation.
That is a tough situation there. The Jungle, where recently we heard of a shooting of 2 homeless by 3 youths.
Right.
And that was a couple weeks ago. 7:42 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio. We're talking more back and forth on this Apple phone, iPhone 5C that was not owned by the San Bernardino shooter, but it was his phone. It was a county phone.
Right.
But the case continues, and now more and more tech folks are speaking out about this. We'll have a conversation about who is on which side of this battle right after this quick break on Daybreak. It's 7:42 on a Wednesday morning, and good morning to you.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
iFIBER Communications, the fastest internet provider in Washington State, has just opened their doors here in Mason County and got their first local customers signed up. James, tell me about your experience.
From the first time I learned of iFIBER to the day I got hooked up, even now, I felt that my fiber connection and the service given to me have been the #1 most important job to every member of the iFIBER team. And not just because I was first in line with my nose pressed up to the glass waiting for a company to take my money.
What differences have you noticed?
I get what I pay for. With non-fiber solutions, you're paying up to the top and never get a constant number anywhere near that top. With fiber, you certainly do. With iFIBER, you get it at a competitive and affordable price.
Why should others sign up for iFIBER Internet?
Well, iFIBER has made a commitment to Mason County. They're working hard to bring fast speeds to everyone at an affordable price. And now with phones and television, your bill will be all in one place with no hidden fees or sudden price changes to surprise you month to month like other all-in-one service providers.
Get signed up for iFIBER Communications today by calling 360-427-4000 or visit iFIBER.tv for more information.
If you're looking for a new venue to watch your favorite sports, come check out the El Serape Cantina. Take in the classy Day of the Dead ambiance and enjoy your favorite sports on the large projector screen or 4K Ultra HD TVs. Warm up by the fire or shoot some pool on the beautifully crafted pool tables. Join the Cantina for Dollar Taco Tuesdays and bring out your inner rock star on Karaoke Wednesdays. With so much to offer, the Cantina is the place to be. Located on Railroad in downtown Shelton, right next to the El Serape restaurant. Hi guys, Kat here with iFIBER One News Radio. What if I told you that radio advertising is far more effective than print media? Think about all of your customers driving to work, appointments, or events, all the while listening to the radio. Imagine your commercial airs on iFIBER One News Radio and the customer decides, hey, I'm right by there. I'm going to go check it out. Radio captures you and literally speaks to you and your customers several times a day. This enables you to build a unique message that reminds your customers what you have to offer. Remember, your customers can either drive to you or through you. And here at iFIBER One News Radio, we want to direct customers to you. Being the only talk radio formatted station in the entire South Sound region, we have an entire new market for your business to advertise in. As your sales lady, I take pride in providing your business with the best advertising because I want your business to succeed. So call me today at 360-463-2558 and ask for Kat.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
7:45 at iFIBER One News Radio. Good morning to you. Daybreak here. We'll check the old farmer in a little bit. ABC News at the top of the hour. Before the break, we were talking about the Apple phone used by the San Bernardino shooter, one of the two San Bernardino shooters, and it's locked. And the FBI has requested Apple to help them in unlocking the phone to find out who this guy, I think it was his, Saeed Farouk, right? That's his name. So the guy, whether or not who he was in contact with, I believe there is still 18 minutes of their day that the FBI can't seem to figure out where they were. They've been able to triangulate and find them for almost that whole day, but 18 minutes of it, and they're not sure where. So I'm just thinking here, the phone may have got the GPS coordinates, right. if you had it with them the whole time. People are coming out. Tech giants are coming out on both sides of the issue. Facebook's chief executive says he's sympathetic to Apple's position in its clash with the FBI. Here's more on that from ABC's Tom Rivers at the foreign desk.
Mark Zuckerberg says he doesn't believe the authorities should have backdoors to bypass encryption protection. Speaking at a tech show in Barcelona, Facebook CEO adds he doesn't think it would be an effective thing to increase security, but that it's really the right thing to do. He says Facebook is committed to doing all it can to prevent terrorism, but his company remains in favor of encryption. Tom Rivers, ABC News at the Foreign Desk.
And Carol, on the other side of the issue, backing the FBI, it looks like just up the road, Microsoft founder Bill Gates.
Yeah, he says the FBI's demand that Apple give officials access to the locked encrypted phone should be done. He says it's a specific case where the government is asking for access to information and they're not asking for some general thing. They're asking for a particular case. But the more we dive into the story, that doesn't really seem to be the case.
Yeah, so when I first heard the story, my initial thought was help the feds open this up.
Right.
So what I thought would happen was that somebody from the FBI would go to Apple headquarters in Cupertino, meet with Tim Cook and his numero uno security expert. So the chain of command, the chain of custody is very small, and they would go in and unlock the phone like anybody would do. You go to the Genius Bar at any of these malls and you go, oh, I can't access my Angry Birds. And they take it into the back and plug it in somewhere, come back, and you got all your information. Then I read, and I think this is what you were telling me, is that they're looking for a way to then have a program to do this on all of these.
Right. Well, the specific court order that was issued last Tuesday by a judge didn't order Apple to unlock the phone, which the company says it's unable to do, which I don't believe. I don't believe that. But to write a special software tool, a crippled version of its operating system that would eliminate specific security protections the company has built into its phone software to protect customer data.
So they're looking for the key.
Yeah, they're looking for the back door, as they call it.
Sure.
So it's a way into all Apple products is what Apple and other people fear, which I honestly don't understand why they can't just unlock the phone. And then they would just say, hey, here's the phone. Everything else, we're done with all this.
Yeah. Case by case basis. You need more help. Come back to us at Apple headquarters, and we'll make sure that one person or one or two people here are the only ones that see this.
Right. Just unlock that phone. I mean, I honestly can't believe they say they can't unlock the phone. That doesn't seem quite real to me. And I wonder what would happen if this was an Android phone. I mean, I really do. Is there any security? And I know there's a lot of encryption
I'm
and stuff
not
on
sure,
some
because I have an Apple, so I'm not up on the security concerns.
It's very interesting.
I had also read that there are between 10 and 20 Apple devices that the FBI holds in evidence wherever, that they would love to have this ability to open those ones.
Right. And then, so if they do this, it would set a precedence. I guess Apple's fighting at least 4 instances that the government has been wanting.
And they've been asking. So there are multiples.
Right. So I don't know. The tech people say, minus Bill Gates, say that the FBI is putting a broad face on this thing, like, oh, well, we just want to help, secure you people from, terrorists. And then the tech people are like, no, that's not really what the government wants. They want access to everything, which I don't agree with.
Oh, well, no, I don't either. 7:52 here at iFIBER One, and a good morning to you. We'll step aside here what the old farmer has to say. It was a cloudy morning this morning, but the afternoon, albeit a little chilly, it was pretty darn nice yesterday.
Yeah, it was. In the sun, it's really nice.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to go in the shade. Freeze. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
If you're a proponent of eating local, get used to hearing the acronym CSA. We'll tell you what it's all about on the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Thursday, February 25th, the 56th day of the year. The late Beatle George Harrison was born on this day. There's a new model emerging in the way food gets from farm to our dinner tables. It's called a CSA, or Community Supported Agriculture. It works like this. Before the growing season, a consumer can purchase shares of farm's production. In return, they receive a weekly delivery of vegetables, eggs, meat, cheese, or other options. In a good good year, you share in the rewards of a good harvest, but you also share the same risks that farmers face every year. The shared risks, say proponents, creates a stronger sense of community and a greater investment of the welfare of local agriculture. That is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. Learn more at almanac.com.
Hi, everyone. This is Mark Tobert, your advertising consultant from iFIBER ONE Newsradio. Are you missing customers because you only market to a specific group? iFIBER ONE Newsradio can help you hit a larger group of buyers with our diverse audience. We are 24 hours of local and national breaking news, award-winning talk radio, and primetime sports, including local high school sports. What does this mean to you? This means our listeners listen longer to entire programs and don't switch to another station when a commercial comes on. Our coverage in the Puget Sound area hits over 500,000 listeners, including Mason County, Thurston County, Grace Harbor County, King, Pierce, Joint Base Lewis McCourt, and Kitsap County to the Bremerton Naval Base. All advertising is 100% tax deductible. So how can you afford not to advertise? Call me, Mark Tobert, at iFIBER ONE News Radio to become a total audience plan advertiser. Just call 360-426-1030.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
7:53 iFIBER ONE News Radio. It is a Daybreak. I'm Jeff Slakey along with Carol Gardner. Hi, Carol.
Good morning, Jeffrey.
You have, what, a cat? One cat? Two cats?
One cat.
One cat. I've got two dogs, Simon and Winston. And Winnie is a little guy. Mm-hmm. Simon, not as much. I would not consider Simon a lap dog.
I wouldn't consider either yours a lap dog.
Not even Winston, huh?
No, I mean, they to me, lap dogs are
like Chihuahuas.
Yeah, little dog. I mean, they can sit on your lap. Obviously, they do, and they ruin your sleep. But just a lap dog to me is, the size of a cat, a regular sized cat.
I was you're in a store. You go into stores all the time now, and you see animals.
Yes, you do.
And some of them actually have the vest that say service animal. And you're not supposed to ask. You can say no, you can say, what service does your animal provide? But you can't go like, well, why do you need that?
Well, is there a law?
Yeah, it's kind of privacy laws. I mean, if it's somebody's dog that is there for, I don't know, PTSD or something.
Well, I suppose you could say it, but you don't have to legally give an answer.
I don't think you have to legally have an answer. But you see them all the time now. Yeah, they're all over the place. And some of them definitely don't even seem like service animals. They either don't have the vests or, again, they're very tiny Chihuahua dogs. I don't know what they're going to alert you to.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're pretty much just giving up on dogs in certain areas, cats in certain areas, and not. Amtrak now welcoming small pets on Cascade trains.
Yeah, they say the Transportation Rail Director Ron Pat says previously only service animals were allowed on the train, and now small dogs and cats will be able to travel with families on Amtrak Cascades trains starting in early March.
I will say that I believe I heard a dog on our airplane flight home from San Diego, and the dog was it acted better than Kaiser did. So we'll say that.
Well, okay, there you go. So some people can't stand traveling with small children on the same plane, but officials say the traveling pets must be odorless, which
that's hard to do.
Harmless, which
hopeful,
not destructive, and require no attention during travel, among other stipulations.
I could just see it. You have your seat, and the dog has their seat. You guys are just both sitting there reading the newspaper because you can't distract. No attention is needed during the other two.
I'm guessing that you have to have them. A cat, you would have to have.
What cat will just sit on your lap while you're on the train?
I don't know. That to me is just.
That's that I'm sure was a big decision that they had to make.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like, I don't know.
I mean.
Would you do this?
Just even for safety.
Yeah.
What if something, happens? with the train.
You want to talk to the virtual assistant on Amtrak?
I know. She pops up and says most animals are not allowed on trains or thruway services in passenger areas. However, some small pets are permitted. And then you have to, go to the page, which I'm at right now.
So this is going to start March 7, $25 per pet. Must be made in advance. Be accepting travel beginning again March 7. And each train can take up to 5 pets.
Which is...
Pets are not allowed on trips to Canada or longer than 7 hours.
And it's only a limited number of trains. So
isn't that what they have, like, luggage compartments for? Luggage train cars?
Well, maybe they should just have a pet car.
Yeah.
That might solve the whole problem.
Car. That'd be a lot of fun.
Just have your own pet car. But before you go, check your route, and if your train actually will accept them, just don't expect them to start accepting them because you heard the news.
March 7 is when they're looking at that one. ABC News coming your way at the top of the hour. Good morning to you. I'm just like you, along with Carol Gardner. Machine digging a tunnel to replace Seattle's Alaska Way Viaduct has resumed work. It's known as Bertha. The official boring machine up there resumed mining yesterday after the state allowed the work to continue. Last month, the governor halted all digging because of that sinkhole that formed in the area. State officials say the tunnel contractor will be allowed to install 25 concrete tunnel rings and must ensure the work can continue safely. This tunnel along the waterfront was the choice to replace the Alaska Way Viaduct after it was damaged in an earthquake back in 2001. That was that Nisqually quake that was felt all the way up. I remember it being at Western and feeling it happened in 2001. Bertha broke down about 2 years ago and has only recently resumed operations. They thought that they'd get done last fall, but it's going to be spring of 18 is when it is.
Do you know how long that Boston tunnel thing took?
That big dig?
Yeah.
I feel that it was a 20-year process.
Yeah.
It was a very long one.
It is a long time. It's already been 5 years. Has it been 5 years?
For this one?
Yeah.
Good morning to you at 8, ABC News. At 8:15, Transit Talk on the radio this morning. Then Port of Call at 8:45.
That's a good question. We'll ask, can you take pets on the bus? More than just service pets? Well, we'll
that is
ask
a great
that question.
We'll find that out for sure. All right, we're going to step aside here from the ABC News. Marilyn Foster just on the other side of that, talking county business and beyond. It's all right here on Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Mornings start with Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio. Join Jeff and Carol weekdays from 6 to 9 on AM 1030 and FM 1033 KMAS Shelton. Tom Hartman is live and waiting your call weekdays from 9 to noon on iFIBER ONE News Radio, AM 1030, FM 1033 KMAS Shelton.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Karen Chase. Donald Trump is predicting he could have the Republican presidential nomination in his pocket in a few short weeks after his huge victory in the Nevada caucuses.
Florida is looking fantastically. Ohio is looking great. You look at the different numbers in the different states. We just got numbers in on Georgia. We're doing fantastically well. Arkansas.
Trump snagged 46% of the Nevada vote. Marco Rubio says he's pleased with a second-place finish since there are many more delegates up for grabs. Cruz placed third, less than 2,000 votes behind Rubio. Florida Governor Rick Scott is planning to travel to the Florida Panhandle to survey the damage done by a tornado. An entire apartment complex was leveled, along with trees and power lines. A number of twisters slammed the South. ABC's Lindsay Janis tells us Louisiana and Mississippi were also hard hit.
More than 24 tornadoes struck the Gulf Coast region overnight and yesterday. One of those hitting Pensacola, Florida, tearing a 2-mile path of destruction. We were at an apartment building this morning where a twister ripped through it, taking the roof off of an entire building. Now you can see right into people's living rooms and kitchens.
Johnson & Johnson has been ordered to pay $72 million to the family of a woman who died of ovarian cancer linked to talcum powder. ABC chief women's health correspondent Dr. Jennifer Ashton says studies have pointed to a connection.
The theory here is that the pathway goes up into the uterus, to the fallopian tubes, and to the ovaries and causes damage there. And we don't really know. Is it talc or is it another chemical in the powder that's doing this?
A rapid blood test for Zika has been developed by researchers in Texas. Scientists hope it will help squelch the outbreak. Cereal makers are wondering how to solve a problem like millennials. It seems young people are drifting away from cereal and towards sandwiches and yogurt for breakfast because they can't be bothered with a bowl. This is ABC News.
Control, do you like mortgages? Negative, over. Do you like rockets? Affirmative, over. Do you like rocket mortgages? I'm listening, over. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that turns the entire mortgage process into a fast, powerful, completely online experience. Copy that, QL1. I'm going to go ahead and push this button in 3, 2, 1. Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage.
Rocket.
Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
4, 3, 2, 1. Friday's first endless apps of 2016 begins now. Kitchen, we are a go. That's right. America's favorite guilty pleasure is back. And $10 still gets you endless rounds of your favorite app. Like mozzarella sticks, loaded potato skins, or 8 styles of wings. We're talking endless rounds of the best appetizers on earth. More endless apps for mankind. Endless apps are back at Fridays. Suck at that.
No spring break this year for thousands of students at Chicago State University. ABC's Ryan Burrow tells us they can thank a budget battle.
The university is trying to finish the semester by any means necessary.
Student Charles Preston says he was supposed to go to Miami to see his girlfriend over spring break. Instead, he'll be staying put. Chicago State University President Thomas Calhoun.
Chicago State University is in a state of fiscal exigency, which allows us to make budget, operating adjustments, cost reductions in order to continue to operate.
Graduation has been moved up 2 weeks. Ryan Burrow, ABC News, Chicago.
Texas Rangers pitcher Cole Hamels paid $70,000 for 3 VIP tickets to the Victoria's Secret fashion show and never even got in. Now, Hamels is suing the event promoter, London-based Cornucopia Events, for $150,000. The suit says the money was supposed to go for a stay in a hotel, a limo with champagne, access to restaurants and goodie bags, yet he got nothing. Karen Chase, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. There's been some controversy surrounding a recent ordinance adopted by the Mason County Commissioners. According to a state law passed last year, when 2 or more legislative bodies in 2 or more counties have a common concern, one of the counties can go to the other county and hold a meeting with only 24-hour notice. Mason County's ordinance now reflects that law. Concerned citizen Tom Davis wants a 30-day notice, and he told Daybreak why.
My feeling is that it defies reason why the county would want the flexibility to have a meeting outside the county that concerns an issue of the people inside the county and only give those people 24-hour notice. Commissioner Sheldon said, well, you should just make sure that you elect good commissioners. Well, we could do away with the whole checks and balances system if that was the case, and so I don't really give that too much weight. And Commissioner Jeffries said, I want the flexibility. Well, if you want the flexibility, that probably means you're going to exercise the flexibility.
Commissioner Tim Sheldon says that kind of abuse is unlikely.
I don't see a group of nefarious county commissioners getting together to do some secretive meeting outside of the county that's not noticed to the public. If somebody can bring me an example of that, then I think we got to start talking about it seriously. But it's just something you wouldn't do. But if he can find an example of this happening, boy, I'd sure like to hear about it.
35th District Representative Dan Griffey also addressed Davis's concerns.
The legislature was asked to consider the ability the county commissioner could meet in off-site locations for very narrow reasons. And the reason was they were going to interview legislative appointees. So if they have a vacancy in the legislature, the 35th District covers 3 counties. Those 3 county commissioners could get together, do an interview of all the candidates all at one time. They could then make an appointment. But I do understand his concerns, and I think we have to monitor the situation, and we might have to put some sideboards on the topics that can be discussed in that 24-hour window.
Sure.
But I do believe that the counties in an emergency situation like these appointments to do these interviews, they might need that flexibility.
Find all of these discussions on the Daybreak page on iFIBER1newsradio.com. The city of Gig Harbor has a controversy of its own. Citing trends, the city's planning commission sees cottage housing as an attractive opportunity and wants the city to consider a zoning amendment. But the group Citizens for the Preservation of Gig Harbor believes more cottage housing would negatively impact the community. The mayor has encouraged residents to learn more about the concept before casting judgments. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Marilyn Foster.
Alex Jones and InfoWars. Weeknights 6 to 9 on iFIBER One News Radio.
But they run this hoax. It's the law. No, there is no law. And they all engage in this big conspiracy because they think it's the right thing to do. And then once it starts killing people, they can never admit, oh my gosh, this is a eugenics program. This is a mass public testing program. No. There's no admissions of that. It's just make fun of anybody that talks about it and say that we're going to make everybody sick. That's all over the news now. You're going to make me sick. You take a vaccine.
We have some extreme temperatures in our part of the country. I want to tell you about a local company, Arch Mechanical. ARCH, Arch. It's an acronym for Affordable Refrigeration, Cooling, and Heating. But that's not what's important. What's important is how Tom, the problem solver, is able to help solve your heating, cooling, and refrigeration equipment or system problems. Check out archmechanical.com and find out more. archmechanical.com.
.808 on a Wednesday morning. It's Daybreak, AM 1030 and FM 103.3, streaming online as well at iFIBER1newsradio.com. You can listen or watch the show if you prefer. Good morning to you. Checking sports with Gonzaga quickly wrapping up the regular season. They have a game coming this Saturday on the radio versus BYU. The pregame is at 4:40 and the tip-off will be at 5. Clint Dempsey scored in both halves, but the Seattle Sounders settled for a 2-2 draw with Club America in the first leg of the CONCACAF Champions League quarterfinals last night. Seattle now goes to Aztec Stadium next week, likely needing a victory to advance. And in women's U.S. soccer, they are launching a Girls Development Academy program next year aimed at the cultivation of elite-level players, modeled after the Boys Academy, which they have now. It's launched in 2007, and there's already now 152 clubs in 5 age groups. They'll have 3 age groups to start out for the girls program, but I'm sure move forward and be very similar to what the boys are doing very, very soon. Mariners are down in Peoria getting ready for spring training baseball. We will have for you no fewer than 10 preseason games on the radio. And then we get things underway in April and follow the Mariners all the way through the 162-game season right here on iFIBER One News Radio.
Carol.
Sorry, I didn't have your microphone turned on.
Oh, well.
They got your name, though.
They got my name. So I am Carol.
Yes, you are.
With the weather. And Jeff, it's going to be a great day today. It's going to be sunny. There is going to be some clouds. It'll be sunny and get to 59 today. Right now, it's a little chilly at 38. Tomorrow will be even nicer with mostly sun and up to 61.
Cool.
Just have to wait for it. Right now, it's 38.
Now, from the iFIBER One News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South South's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor, your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
811 iFiber One News Radio. Transit talks coming up in a few moments. Also, Port of Call with Dick Taylor and John Dobson. The Port of Longview commissioners have ended talks with a Texas developer of an $800 million oil refinery and a propane terminal in southwest Washington. The Daily News of Longview says commissioners voted yesterday to end talks with Waterside Energy. Company proposed 2 projects on land adjacent to the port, but needed to use port property for its activities. Authorities have identified the 2 folks who died in a powerful explosion that leveled a home in Port Orchard. Kitsap County Sheriff's deputies say the explosion which killed William B. McDonald and his wife Maria McDonald. They've ruled out, authorities have homicide as a cause, all but ruled it out. But they are still not sure how the explosion happened, and they are continuing that investigation.
A Senate panel has allocated an additional $75,000 to an investigator hired to help the Senate with its inquiry into the erroneous early release of the prisoners in Washington state. The software coding error led to the early release of over 3,000 prisoners since 2002 because of miscalculated sentences. And at least 2 deaths have been tied to that early release.
State DOT renaming State Route 16 in memory of State Trooper Tony Redolescu, killed 4 years ago yesterday on that roadway. He was a 44-year-old Army veteran, served with the State Patrol for 16 years.
State officials say small dogs and cats soon will be able to travel with their families on Amtrak Cascade trains. Reservations, which cost $25 per pet, must be made in advance and will be accepted for travel beginning March 7th. Officials say traveling pets must be odorless and harmless, not disruptive, and require no attention during travel, among other stipulations.
8:13, iFiber One News Radio, Daybreak. Good morning to you. We'll be right back after this.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFiber One News Radio.
Having a new baby this year? If you just got the exciting news, Mountain View Women's Health has some more good news for you. The best prenatal and delivery care you could ask for is close to home and family. Mountain View Women's Health and the Birth Center at Mason General Hospital offer excellent care to make your prenatal and birth experience wonderful. Among the many great features is the personalized birthing plan that includes your choice of pain management, from epidural to natural birth. For more information, call Mountain View Women's Health at 426-0955.
Mason General Hospital and family of clinics. Equal opportunity provider. Translation services provided.
Mason General and family of clinics.
Understanding your finances is a key to a strong financial future. Don't be the one who gets left behind. Visit feedthepig.org for tools and tips to get started on the path to financial stability. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFiber One News Radio, KMAS.
$8:15 at iFiber One News Radio. Good morning to you. I'm Just Like You, along with Carol Gardner, and it's Transit Talk time. And Christina Kramer is here from MTA. Good morning.
Good morning, Jeff and Carol.
Good morning.
Got a lot of things to talk about. First, though, I have a question regarding animals on the buses.
Oh.
There's a new story about Amtrak going to let some dogs and cats after some certain stipulations. So what's the deal on Mason Transit? Dogs, cats? Carol, go ahead. What?
Well, first, they were offering just service animals on trains,
Right.
but now they've opened it up to your pet, actual pet.
So we allow service animals, of course. We do allow pets on a very limited basis, meaning that they have to be in an official pet carrier and contained. So necessarily bringing your pet dog that's 100 pounds and isn't a service animal and isn't in a pet carrier isn't going to be allowed.
Do they have to check ahead of time to let you know that they're going to be bringing their pet? Like they have to go to a vet appointment or something, or they just get on with their carrying?
As long as it's in a carrier and it is behaving appropriately.
Odorless?
Yep, it is not causing a disturbance on the bus, then that's fine. Odorless, I'm not really sure, honestly. I would have to refer to my operations management team to ask them. That's something that I've never come across.
Right.
Because that's subjective.
Yeah,
Some people are more However, if it's causing a sanitary issue where there is feces or other things happening, of course, the safety of our passengers is number one. So we would kindly ask that person to be off the bus with the animals. So.
That must be what Amtrak was talking about then, because I can't imagine. How do you get your pet odorless?
Yeah,
that's true.
So for us, it's service animal. Does it behave like a service animal? Is it staying safe?
They have to have it said on their. They have to be wearing something.
No, not necessarily.
No.
We can't require someone to wear something.
No, not them, but the pet.
Yeah, the pet. No,
really?
You don't have to. No. Basically, by law, I think there's like 3 questions we're allowed to ask somebody. We're allowed to ask, is this a service animal? And I feel like we can ask what service does it provide, but I think that that's a tricky area because you have like HIPAA laws and stuff like that. And then as long as it's behaving like a service animal, and there's very distinct characteristics of a service animal. A service animal is not going to be trying to say hi to everybody else on the bus, is not going to be barking. They're going to be calm. They're going to be collected. They're going to be sitting next to the person that they're serving and behaving like a service animal. So it's pretty easy to tell what's a service animal and what isn't. I think the vest, you can just kind of order those online.
Okay.
So there's no real way to verify other than asking those questions and through direct observations of how the animal is behaving.
Interesting.
Very general questions.
Yeah, very.
What else is on the topics for today?
Well, today I wanted to talk about our commuter services, specifically our van pool program. We also have a worker driver program that I want to talk about. And if we have time, our community van program, which is not really commuter service, but it fits into an extra program that I think is really cool to know about. If we don't have time, we'll talk about it another one. So some interesting facts are that Washington State actually leads the nation in regards to van pool and commuter services.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We have over 2,800 vans rolling each day, and that's pulling over 19,000 vehicle trips is being reduced, is pulling them off the roads. The federal government has a commuter trip reduction program, so there's actually incentives to employers to encourage their employees to commute rideshare in either van pool or carpooling, and some employers will even provide vouchers to cover your van pool fare or a bus fare. All part of that kind of clean air and environment push as far as reducing greenhouse gases and stuff like that. So MTA, we offer a van pool program also, and the stipulation is the van has to start or end in Mason County. And what a van pool is you have 5 to 12 people that are riding together in a van from one destination to another. And the fare is based on how many riders and how many miles you're going. But we maintain the van, we pay for the gas for the van, insurance, all of that. Again, you're just paying a small fare. And typically that's a lot less than what you're gonna pay in gas and maintaining your own vehicle to get to and from work. With gas prices as low as they are right now, I don't know if that totally holds true, but when you take into consideration the cost of maintaining a vehicle and time getting to and from work, I think it still is incredibly beneficial.
Plus possible parking payments that you would have to pay.
Yes.
And just the hassle.
Yes. So a lot of people, when they're looking at that immediate, how does it, what's in it for me, they might look at their gas bill on, one trip or a couple trips. But like I said, taking into consideration all the things that it takes to drive your vehicle to and from, van pooling, ride sharing in general is really a great option. For those that are listening, listening, if you're interested and you want to learn if there is ride-sharing options available to you, even if you're not in Mason County, there's a website called Rideshare Online, and it enables you to go and kind of register yourself or just see if there's other van pools already in existence or carpools going from wherever you're starting and ending, and you might be able to match up with somebody. There's also the possibility of starting your own. So if you work at a place where you have at least 4 other people, including yourself, that are trying to get to and from similar places at the same time, then you can start a van pool. And you have your own driver. So you have a voluntary driver and then you have a backup driver. And one of those can typically be the bookkeeper. You work out between the riders themselves if maybe the riders want to compensate the driver by covering part of their fare for volunteering to be the driver.
Sure.
The drivers do have to have a record check done. And because of course safety is our concern, we do a defensive driving class for them, and then they're ready to go. So as long as they have their 5 people.
What about other modes of transportation? So instead of a van, if I just have my car,
yeah,
could I team up with Mason Transit and provide that same service on a smaller number of people?
Yeah, what we would do is that Rideshare Online, we would refer you to Rideshare Online, because that's really, it's just a statewide, but you go on there and you can click on your county or the county that you're going to. And like I said, you can match up and find other people that are wanting to travel the same place. And then you can put a carpool together. And again, depending on where you work, typically federal or state employers, you're going to find commute benefits for doing that, even if it's not a van pool.
Sure.
But of course, I would highly encourage trying van pool because you can fit more than you can typically in a car, and there is again the reducing the cost of the maintenance of your vehicle. You have this vehicle that's being maintained for you, fueled, all of that kind of stuff. So
Mason County has a large population of folks who travel outside of the county every day.
Yes.
And we've had that well documented over the years. How many van pools currently are Mason County dealing with, and where are some of the average places where these are? I think I've seen a van up at like the Fred Meyer parking lot.
Yeah.
Sit there. Some other places around the area.
I wish I would have had our van pool coordinator come in with me today, now that you're asking some really specific questions. Her name is Christy Evans, and if anybody's interested in joining, they can call her directly too. Her phone number is 432-5725. I think we have about 19 van pools running right now. I apologize because I didn't fact check myself before coming in.
and is there ever? There's never been the opportunity where you said, "Sorry, we're all."
No, not as of right now. Right now, yes, there is the chance. There are some agencies in more urban areas where I'm sure they might get to that point where they're full and they have a waiting list. I haven't heard of that in a while. I think the van pool program generally in Washington State's been going since about early 2000, 2003. So right now, we have plenty of extra vans. We're in the process of trying to look for grants to get smaller vans. We have some 7-passenger vans. All of those are gone. So right now on the lot, we've got 12-passenger vans, and we're trying to diversify our fleet to meet diverse needs. Some folks don't quite need the 12-passenger van. They have a smaller group. And then as far as where people are traveling, we have a lot that are going north up to is it Puget Sound Naval Shipyard?
Yeah, sure, Bremerton area.
Yeah, I just know the acronym, PSNS, and the naval base. And then we have folks that are traveling up on the ferry over to Seattle, and then quite a few folks traveling to Olympia, whether they're working at the hospitals or state workers. I'm not really sure down to that level of detail. But our folks that are traveling up north, in addition to van pool, we have the worker driver program. And that's something that's really unique to this area also in MTA. I think Kitsap Transit is the only other transit agency here that has a program like this. And we kind of joke and call it a van pool on steroids. And what it is it's a bus. It seats 50 people. We have 4 of them. And it's a route, though. So the difference between a van pool and a route is a van pool, the group is is going to determine the route that it's traveling based on where they need to be picked up and where they're going. Whereas a bus, you have a specific route already designated. It doesn't matter who's riding or who isn't. So the worker driver, it's a route, but it's specific to PSNS employees, and it's a PSN employee that drives the bus. So they're both a PSN employee and a PSNS and an MTA employee. So they show up at the bus lot, I think like 3 or 4 in the morning, get the bus. Become an paid MTA employee. They drive the route. They pick up PSNS employees along the way, and then they go up and they park up at, because you have to have security clearance. So that's part of the reason why having that partnership is really important, because our employees couldn't get those people as close to their place of employment as they can, because we don't have the security clearance. And so that enables them to get there, and then the bus driver parks the bus, works their shift. This is for day shift only, and then gets off work. I think they're allowed to get out a little bit early so they can go get the bus, get it warmed up, pick everybody up, and take them back home.
Oh, that is a great idea.
Yeah, and it is funded through the federal government through that commuter trip reduction program. And by that, I mean the commuters on the bus, they get a voucher from their employer. So we get paid, and the program pays for itself. So there's nothing coming out from the local taxpayer perspective as far as to fund that program. But the benefit is huge as far as, if y'all have ever been on Highway 3, pulling people off of Highway 3 and getting them into these shared rides. And so if you are somebody who's listening and happen to work at PSNS, I believe it's your employee transportation coordinator, employee coordinator, who you can talk to regarding the commuter trip reduction program and whether or not you qualify for a voucher. The fare on the worker driver bus, it's $110 a month because it's a very premium service. And then I also want to mention that our van pool program also pays for itself. We get grants to purchase the vans, but through the fare and management, it's another program that pays for itself but pulls people off the road. So it's really beneficial for our taxpayers.
Is there a minimum distance for the van pool?
That is a really good question.
I'm thinking like people go park at the Pickering Park and Ride and van pool to the casino or something.
Yeah, no, I don't think because really ultimately for us in public transportation, our goal is to get people off the road.
Right.
In as far as a single car and single person occupancy. I mean, all around, it's been proven over and over again the benefits of doing so as far as maintaining our infrastructure longer, as far as the carbon footprint and all of that kind of stuff. So I don't think that we have a minimum distance. Like I said, you have to start in Mason County and you have to end in Mason County. Right. So you don't necessarily have to live here to do it. If you're somebody who lives in Olympia and you have a group of people that are commuting here to work at maybe Mason General Hospital or the casino or whatever, you can do a van pool because you're ending here. Oh, okay. So yeah.
Interesting. All right. Very good. Christina Kramer from Mason Transit, and you can follow them on Twitter as well to find out any route notifications. Your Twitter handle at MTA is?
At Mason Transit.
There it is, nice and easy. Thank you much. We'll talk to you next week at this time.
Yeah, well, actually, next week, you're going to end up having our board chair, Terry Jeffries.
Oh, sure.
And our interim general manager, Danette Brannon. She's also the finance manager. And they're going to talk about where MTA is right now and where they're going. And then the following week, you'll have Mike Oliver, who will be talking about our express service and park and ride, and as far as the grant aspect and project management. So you'll see me in 3 weeks. But you'll be hearing about transit every week.
I like it. Very good. Thank you very much. We're going to move aside now to get the latest in the morning stock numbers. And good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Doing well. It's Karen Shade from Edward Jones. And the morning stock numbers, how are we looking there?
Well, U.S. stocks are lower this morning based on disappointing economic data. And Economic News, a preliminary report that measures economic activity across manufacturing, construction, and service firms, declined for February. And other news, sales of newly built U.S. homes declined last month, a sign that the housing market recovery remains uneven. Bond prices are higher this morning on weakness in the equity markets. So far This morning, the S&P 500, the best performing sector is utilities, while the worst performing sector is financials. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 202 points at 16,229. The Standard & Poor's 500 Index is down 22 points at 1,898. And the NASDAQ Composite Index is down 59 points at 4,443. This morning, volume on the New York Stock Exchange is high, with about 276 million shares being traded, and decliners are outnumbering advances by roughly 4-to-1 margin. In the commodity markets, the spot price of gold is up $21.11 to $1,246.71. The spot price of silver is up 14 cents to $15.44, and crude oil prices are down 90 cents to $30.97. In the bond markets, the 30-year Treasury yield is currently 2.53%, and the 10-year Treasury yield is 1.67%. Stocks of local interest: Amazon is down $17.13, Costco is down $1.20, Boeing is down $4.23, Starbucks is down $1.30, and Microsoft is down 58 cents. This is Karen Shade of Edward Jones, member SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and long-term financial advice. I'm located at 1051 Southeast State Route 3 in Shelton. If you'd like additional information, you can contact me at 426-4590, and daily commentary is also located on our website at edwardjones.com.
All right, Karen, have a great rest of your day.
You too.
It is 8:31 now, and the latest in local news, brought to you this time by Fred Holmes Tree Service.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, I'm Marilyn Foster. There's been some controversy surrounding a recent ordinance adopted by the Mason County Commissioners. According to a state law passed last year, when two or more legislative bodies in two or more counties have a common concern, one of the counties can go to the other county and hold a meeting with only 24-hour notice. Mason County's ordinance now reflects that law. Concerned citizen Tom Davis wants a 30-day notice, and he told Daybreak why.
My feeling is that it defies reason why the county would want the flexibility to have a meeting outside the county that concerns an issue of the people inside the county and only give those people 24-hour notice. Commissioner Sheldon said, well, you should just make sure that you elect good commissioners. Well, we could do away with the whole checks and balances system if that was the case, and so I don't really give that too much weight. And Commissioner Jeffries said, I want the flexibility. Well, if you want the flexibility, that probably means you're going to exercise the flexibility.
Commissioner Tim Sheldon says that kind of abuse is unlikely.
I don't see a group of nefarious county commissioners getting together to do some secretive meeting outside of the county that's not noticed to the public. If somebody can bring me an example of that, then I think we got to start talking about it seriously. But it's just something you wouldn't do. But if he can find an example of this happening, boy, I'd sure like to hear about it.
35th District Representative Dan Griffey also addressed Davis's concerns.
The legislature was asked to consider the ability the county commissioner could meet in off-site locations for very narrow reasons. And the reason was they were going to interview legislative appointees. So if they have a vacancy in the legislature, the 35th District covers 3 counties. Those 3 county commissioners could get together, do an interview of all the candidates all at one time. They could then make an appointment. But I do understand his concerns, and I think we have to monitor the situation, and we might have to put some sideboards on the topics that can be discussed in that 24-hour window. Sure. But I do believe that the counties in an emergency situation like these appointments to do these interviews, they might need that flexibility.
Find all of these discussions on the Daybreak page on iFIBER1newsradio.com. The city of Gig Harbor has a controversy of its own. Citing trends, the city's planning commission sees cottage housing as an attractive opportunity and wants the city to consider a zoning amendment. But the group Citizens for the Preservation of Gig Harbor believes more cottage housing would negatively impact the community. The mayor has encouraged residents to learn more about the concept before casting judgments. For iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 1033, I'm Marilyn Foster.
Ascend Roofing Company in Shelton's on top of it. 868-2730. Roofing work that speaks for itself.
Just a note to express our appreciation for restoring our faith in a handshake. You did what you said you would, and that's all anyone can expect.
We truly appreciate the work that was done. And your son Ryan is a wonderful representative of your company. Thank you again for making the gutters clean and our roof moss resistant.
You could be the next happy customer by calling Ascend Roofing. 868-2730. Your small business needs a loyalty rewards program, but email and paper cards are not effective, and using your POS system where you have to do all the work is bad as well. Go mobile. 95% of customers will check your marketing message on their smartphones in the first 5 minutes you send it, and we do all the work for you for under $150 a month. Call Puget Sound Perks today, 253-584-1212, or visit psperks.com. Reward your customers, and they'll reward you back.
Dave Packer reporting on sports. The number 2 Kansas Jayhawks have their sights set on a 12th consecutive Big 12 title, but number 19 Baylor stood in their way on Tuesday.
Graham over to Selden. Selden driving, shooting, and scoring! He got it!
On the Jayhawk IMG Sports Network as Kansas hangs on for the 66-60 win, their 8th in a row. Another victory on Saturday against Texas Tech gives the Jayhawks at least a share of the Big 12 title. We move to the Big Ten, where Michigan State's Bryn Forbes was dialed in against Ohio State.
Pass out of the corner. Forbes, another 3 try and another 3 make. What a night for Forbes. He's got 8 triples.
On ESPN Radio, as Forbes finished with 27 points, and the Spartans finished with an 81-62 win. Major League Baseball news, Rockies shortstop Jose Reyes will be put on paid leave pending the resolution of his domestic violence case in Hawaii. To the NBA we go, where it doesn't get much hotter than Damian Lillard and the Portland Trail Blazers right now.
Plumlee out front. Lopez backs off. Backdoor cut Lillard. He gets to the rim and lays it in with the left hand. Beautiful pass from Plumlee.
On KPOJ, as Lillard and teammate C.J. McCollum both finished with 34 points, and the Blazers got their 6th straight win, 112-104 over Brooklyn. Elsewhere in the association, free basketball in Utah.
Hood lines up Harden with 7, drives with the right hand, hesitates, goes up, lot of contact, no call, misses, favors, follow, yes!
On KZNS, as the Jazz squeak past the Rockets in overtime, 117-114. On the ice, Nashville fans were missing some hats thanks to Philip Forsberg.
Played quickly over to Yossi by Ellis, and that shot's up to rebound, trying to fire it in, and the Predators score again. Well, folks, where are the hats? I'm looking for hats.
On 102.5, the game, as Forsberg's natural hat trick helped the Predators get past the Maple Leafs in Toronto 3-2. Dave Packer, ABC Sports.
All right, good morning to you. It's Daybreak here at iFIBER 1, 8:38. Port of call coming up in about 7 or 8 minutes here on iFIBER 1. We're going to check the sports right now. Sounders kind of getting things underway. And Clint Dempsey scored both of the goals for the Sounders, but it ended up being a 2-2 draw with Club America for the first leg of the CONCACAF Champions League quarterfinals last night. Seattle now heading to Aztec Stadium next week, likely needing a victory if they feel like they want to advance in the CONCACAF. The Trailblazers are on their 6th consecutive win. Good for them, beating the Brooklyn Nets 112-104 last night. And the U.S. Soccer is launching a Girls Development Academy program next year aimed at the cultivation of elite-level players, modeled after the Boys Development Academy that started back in 2007 and includes 152 clubs in 5 age groups. Gonzaga wrapping up the regular season here this weekend, and Saturday they play BYU. We have the game for you. Pre-game at 4:40, tip-off at 5, right here on iFIBER 1 News Radio. It's 8:38, and here's Carol with a check of the forecast.
Good morning. It's 38, overcast. It's going to clear up just a little to get some sunshine, and we'll hit about 59 today. Tomorrow's going to clear up even more. We should hit 61, mostly sunny. Right now it's 38.
Now, from the iFIBER 1 News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor, your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
8:39 at iFIBER ONE News Radio, and a good morning to you. Daybreak, I'm Jeff Slakey, along with Carol Gardner. Morning, Carol.
Good morning, Jeff.
I've been looking at some of the news notes from around the Northwest, and additionally asking about dogs and cats on Amtrak trains. There's a lot in the news, but that's what most people are probably going to talk about today.
The water cooler fodder.
Water cooler fodder. What do you think about these dogs? Because, Christina Kramer brought it up. You can't ask but a few very general questions because of these laws, these HIPAA laws that, you can't be just saying, oh, what's your deal? What's your deal? So you got to kind of grin and bear it.
I'm surprised that the dog doesn't have to wear something. I'm really surprised at that one.
I am too.
Because it would just make sense and it would just help others if there was some kind of thing. Yeah, you can probably order it on the internet, but maybe some kind of certified patch that that most people,
I don't know. Because you see dogs all the time. Debbie Riley, Mason County Public Health, has been in a couple times talking about this issue, where she's seen people, carrying their dogs into the grocery stores, and they have them in their hands, and everybody, dog included, are leaning over like the open deli section.
Yeah,
that's just,
that's creepy. It's common sense.
You would think.
8:41
here at iFIBER ONE News Radio. Authorities have identified the two people who died in a powerful explosion leveling that home in Port Orchard yesterday morning. Kitsap County Sheriff's deputies say William B. McDonald and his wife Maria both died. Authorities have all but ruled out homicide as a cause of the explosion, but they have not determined how it happened. Additionally, a Senate panel has allocated an additional $75,000 to an investigator hired to help that chamber with its inquiry into the erroneous early release of prisoners in the state. Software coding error led to the early release of over 3,000 prisoners since 2002 because of miscalculated sentences, and at least 2 deaths have been tied to the early releases.
The tunnel boring machine digging a tunnel to replace Seattle's Alaska Way Viaduct has resumed work. A tunnel along the Seattle waterfront was the choice to replace the viaduct after it was damaged in a 2001 earthquake. But Bertha broke down about 2 years ago and has only recently resumed operations.
You can follow Bertha on the Twitter. You can see the progress made.
Bertha has he own Twitter account.
Amazing. 8:42, Port of Call. We'll dive deep in next.
Listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now at...
Excuse me, heavy news?
Disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is...
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
Look for your free copy of Coffee News, available in restaurants throughout the South Sound and Mason County.
I feel right at home on JohnLScott.com.
Hi, this is Dawn Pinnell from John L. Scott Real Estate here in Shelton. For a while now, I have been saying welcome home and sharing with you some great listings and some hopefully educational and interesting items of riveting radio real estate topics. We're moving our time slot to Friday at 8:55, right at the end of the morning show. I hope you will continue to listen and that you will contact me with any of your real estate needs. I would love to help you say, I'm home.
Peninsula Credit Union presents PHIL. PHIL stands for Peninsula Home Improvement Loan. Designed to help you get things done around the house, PHIL can help you a little or a lot. This is not a second mortgage. With a Peninsula Home Improvement Loan, you can get 7.24% APR on a 60-month loan or 7.49% APR for 120 months. From replacing the roof to new flooring and everything home-related in between, take advantage of a Peninsula Home Improvement Loan, and PHIL will help you get the job done. Call Peninsula Credit Union today, 800-426 800-426-1601. That's 800-426-1601. Or apply online at pcfcu.org. OAC. See representatives for details. Limited time offer. Additional terms and conditions may apply. Annual percentage rate is effective as of June 11th, 2014. Loan amounts from $500 to $15,000. Terms available from 60 months up to 120 months. For payment examples, call 800-426-1601.
From the iFIBER One News Radio Studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. It's Daybreak here at iFIBER One, and we are diving on deep into the Port of Call segment for this Wednesday with Dick Taylor and John Dobson. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Been beautiful days the last couple days as I leave town and look out over the marina, and I just am imagining in my mind's eye how beautiful it will look in the next couple years with all the restoration efforts and the hard work you guys are doing on the docks. And I think you kind of want to just touch on that a little bit today.
Oh, we can.
Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But we got to start off with,
what do you got?
Spring training starts this week. I mean, good Lord, that's got to be the highlight of the year
Cubs
so far.
are 4-1 odds makers favorites to win it all this year. The Cubbies at 4-1.
Well, we'll see.
Next are the Houston Astros and the Dodgers at 10-1.
Yeah. Where are the Mariners?
I wasn't able to scroll that
Down
far.
My idea.
But on opening day, every team is undefeated.
That's right.
Right. But I say put the pressure on everybody else, and then we just do our
Slide
thing.
right in there.
Yeah, and then they're like, where'd they come from?
Where'd they come from?
And we're like,
the logic. There we go. Very positive.
But it's spring's coming when spring training starts.
Oh, yeah.
So,
it's so much fun. We're so excited to start hearing the baseball on the air. Very cool.
Yep.
So, John, what do we got working on the marina these days?
Well, actually, thank you. And the video from iFIBER that's out there, that's a really good piece to go take a look at.
It even makes John look good.
Boy, it takes a lot of work. It's interesting. We've actually had several people actually come by the port because they're wanting to know even more about it. And, of course, we have a little pamphlet that we've put together with several pictures on it showing the restoration and what it will look like, et cetera, et cetera.
Great.
So lots of folks are interested in that. Had some folks up on the hill. Because obviously they've been looking at a log function mill for years and years and years, and now they're going to have something I think even nicer to look at as time goes by. So, but one of the interesting things, and we were just talking about that before we came on air, is there's the second part of that, which really isn't I don't know too much out in public, and that is the restoration of the actual marina itself, the north and south docks, and we have started that project now. So we started ordering up materials and started construction on the new portion of the north dock, and then over the next couple of months, we'll start looking at how we're going to re-engineer the entire south dock. So our marina tenants are also really, I think, getting pretty excited about this.
I bet.
There's a lot of change coming. There's going to be a lot of movement. I think we talked a little bit about that last time. Where the boathouses are currently located at, if Fred's next to Mary, that might not be what happens, in 6 months from now, because we do have to do what I call the boathouse shuffle. And that's coming, by the first part of 2017. But once it's all put together and the pilings are driven and the docks are secure, I think we're going to have a really, really nice marina. There's even some conversation about putting some type of a covered area down there on the actual pier itself that would allow for gatherings and things like that. So we're toying around with a whole bunch of different ideas. We'll start getting some input, in fact, this evening from our tenant advisory committee about what we like to do with that.
It'd be a beautiful vista.
It is.
Right there.
There's a number of marinas that are out there and it's not a lot of money to do, but you can put I call it a covered patio.
Gazebo like that.
Gazebo, there you go, exactly. And you put some walls that are flexible that can actually come down. So if you do end up with some winds and some rain coming in from a certain direction, you can pull that wall down and protect yourself, so you can still have your event or function, and et cetera. So we're kind of excited about some ideas to help enhance. So those are the kinds of nice thoughts to start having, for longer term, where so many years we've been just patching it, piece by piece and just maintaining it. And now I think there's a clear vision as to what's going to happen down there.
Is this all part of the work that we talked about last week, where a lot of it is being done by the tenants themselves? They're able to do some of the work in rebuilding some of the dock situations?
Well, we're not going to use let me back that up. There's a part of that. I think that the first thing that the tenants who own boathouses down there have all recognized is that they do have to rebuild their boathouse. That's their personal property, but it does have to meet certain standards. And when we know that the DNR, et cetera, and other entities, government entities, are not going to allow any more boathouses to be built and placed in marinas. So it has to do with overwater coverage. It has to do with sea life, et cetera. So
is that for all marinas?
Yes.
Wow.
Really?
Yes. Whoa. Yes.
So you got what you got.
You got what you got.
Huh.
So, I don't know if this is appropriate to say, but, if I'm owning a boathouse now and it isn't up to standard, I might think about investing in that, because I think 5 to 10 years down the road, I know that I'm going to be one of the last keepers of such a device.
Yeah.
And I think there might be some value. There's a side story up at Port of Bellingham where they have done the same thing, only they did this years ago. They eliminated a lot of the boathouses, but those that remain have become rather valuable, and I'll just say they're just very valuable.
Yeah, I bet
that. So anyway, I think that there's an opportunity. If nothing else, if you invest in the boathouse, you have a chance of getting your money back.
Sure.
So I think there's some incentive there for those that have the
Mm-hmm.
wherewithal. So, but that's not the main thing that we're after. Main thing we're after, of course, is a marina that's going to be sound, solid, fixed well into the future, and a bay area that I think we can all be proud of,
and pleasing to the eye.
And pleasing to the eye, and we're all talking. I know Commissioner Taylor and I have talked about it. The trails that we hope to be able to put through that seagrass. If you've ever been out to the Hoquiam Airport, if you walk the path from where Lana's restaurant used to be, there's a trail that goes out there. It goes out towards the bay, and there's this absolutely wonderful walking trail of wood timbers that takes you right out into the natural habitat, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And so I can see us doing something like that, and then that trail coming back underneath the rail area, and then connecting with the Pear Orchard Park, and then working its way right into downtown. So yeah, lots of neat things, lots of opportunity, I think, for everybody to start.
I think that's the key. Lots of opportunity. Is there.
Very cool. And I like that the wheels are in motion a little bit. What else is going on with the port these days?
Still working on stuff at the airport. I think, I don't know, did we make it official? Last time we were here, we did get formal announcement from the FAA about funding for the new runway.
Yeah, by 2018 or 2019.
2019.
Do that for us.
Yeah, 2018 we'll start the engineering, and 2019 we'll actually do the construction. So that's a good, almost just short of $4 million that'll go back into the airport runway surface for that.
That's awesome.
So yeah, lots of good things from there. And then of course the demolition out at Johns Prairie continues. We're learning more and more. I'm now searching out a concrete vendor. Anybody who knows how to bang up concrete and haul it out of there, I just give me a call, please, so we can get that started too.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know how many tons of that. We did this years ago. We had a previous tenant that had left us a lot of, shall we say, concrete chunks.
Yeah.
And didn't know what to do with that. And we spent almost $28,000 just demoing that concrete. We didn't haul it away. We just demoed it and put it into a great big pile. It was $28,000 just for that. I hate to say it, but this is probably, maybe 10 times that amount. This could be, $250,000 just in demo work that needs to get done. So that's going to be a challenge.
Is crushed up concrete used for anything?
It can be, yeah. Yeah, they crush it up, make gravel out of it, and use it in construction projects, road fill things, all kinds of stuff.
Exactly. The challenge with it is, and we don't know the quality of this, where we ran into a problem with ours, it had rebar in it. So now you've got to go hand pick that steel out of it.
Get the rebar out of it.
Is there any problems with any toxicity in it, or because it was?
Not really, just the initial dust. And so you have to keep it watered down as you're breaking it up. And then once that's done, it's fine. So it makes for a great solid fill out there. That pile slowly just went away by itself. Don't know how, but again, no damage, no environmental issues with that, which is nice. But boy, I tell you, our companies out there that are functioning have a very nice, strong roadbed to work on right now.
Well, good. That is good. I like all the positive news coming out of the port as always, and we look forward to next week continuing these conversations during Port of Call. It's 8:53. We're going to surface on out of here, and when we come back, we'll look to the rest of the week here on iFIBER ONE News Radio. It's Daybreak.
Listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
If you're a proponent of eating local, get used to hearing the acronym CSA. We'll tell you what it's all about on the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Thursday, February 25th, the 56th day of the year. The late Beatle George Harrison was born on this day. There's a new model emerging in the way food gets from farm to our dinner tables. It's called a CSA, or Community Supported Agriculture. It works like this. Before the growing season, a consumer can purchase shares of farm's production. In return, they receive a weekly delivery of vegetables, eggs, meat, cheese, or other options. In a good year, you share in the rewards of a good harvest, but you also share the same risks that farmers face every year. The shared risks, say proponents, creates a stronger sense of community and a greater investment of the welfare of local agriculture. That is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. Learn more at almanac.com.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
$8:56 here at iFIBER ONE. Good morning to you. It is Daybreak. Coming up on the end of the show here. Good morning, Carol, to you.
Good morning.
And we've got ABC News coming our way at 9 o'clock. Marilyn Foster updates us with the latest and local at 9:03. Tom Hartman after that. And after Tom Hartman, we have Dave Ramsey, Chad Benson, Alex Jones, and then Overnight America. Tomorrow, we've got the next GOP debate, the last debate before Super Tuesday, where 11 states will offer up their delegates to many candidates, and both parties are vying and hoping for as many as they can. I know that there's 11 states, and old Bernie has to he's been focusing on 5 states to make a good showing to see where he's at in the situation. And then the other folks, there's a lot of southern states that they're going to, obviously Ted Cruz would love to win Texas. He's from Texas. Marco Rubio would love to win Florida. He's from Florida.
Yeah, it's always awful when you can't win your
own state. Yeah, that is a tough one.
It's like not being invited to your own party.
Not that I would ever know anything about. That's 8:57 now at iFIBER ONE News Radio.
On our website, you can find many things besides the video that we had with the Port of Call. We also have the update that the Mason County man is recovering from the first case of a Zika virus in Washington. A health official told us yesterday. An unidentified man in his late 20s was recently treated at Providence St. Peter Hospital in Olympia, where he was diagnosed. So he's believed to have contracted the virus while visiting Tonga, Polynesian state. So he didn't get it here.
Right.
He got it away, and he came back, and he felt bad, and he went to the hospital, and that's what they diagnosed him with. So, right now they say you cannot get it from our mosquitoes in the Northwest.
Right. That's where they're at.
That's where they're at.
The other story on the local news that I don't believe we touched on yesterday, the city commissioners divided on construction fee reduction plan. Former Shelton Mayor John Tarrant spoke Monday night on the city commission's proposal to reduce development impact and building permit fees. Two of the three commissioners voted Monday to move forward with the plan. The mayor's proposal, which would cut building permit fees by 30% and water and sewer fees by 55%, expected to go back to the commissioners for final approval in 2 weeks. Gary Krantz, who sees the proposal as an economic stimulus for Shelton, joined by Commissioner Kathy McDowell to vote on the new fee-cutting ordinance when it comes back to the commissioners on March 7th. Tracy Moore voted against the motion, saying she had too many questions and concluded her fellow commissioners were making a mistake. You can read that full story on what happened at the city commission meeting on our website, iFiber1newsradio.com. Jeff Chu posted on that one. And you can also comment on our websites via Facebook. We are familiar and aware of some problems that we've had, and it's a Facebook issue authentication key thing.
We are not deleting any messages at all. It's
good point.
It's a connection between Facebook and our website.
So that being said, please read the stories, comment on the stories, post and share the stories on our Facebook page, facebook.com/1030 KMAS.
And have a good day.
You too.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFiber One News Radio.